Well, none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots, yeah. None of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots. I'm telling you now, the truth, the truth. Telling you, yeah, the truth, the truth. You have to go back to the roots, the roots. Go to the roots, to the roots. Yeah, man, this is Benjamin out of the Smiling Coast, West Africa, Gambia, representing for the one and only Abu, the big man you don't know, the Soninke warrior, the man that brings the truth, Soninke warrior, the sign of enlightenment, the Soninke warrior, the righteous and the true African. Abu, reveal the truth to them, no matter how them try run from it, because none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Yes, we have to dig back the roots, yeah. Fire!
Subscribe now.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Afridamus Report. I'm your host, Afridamus. I want to welcome all of you to today's edition of the Afridamus Report. It's an early show. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be talking about the U.S. Africa Summit. And I'm going to break it down here because there are so many people, especially your FBA types, even some of your Pan-Africanists, who are attempting to take a crack at this to try to break it down. But they are not understanding how geopolitics work. Please, those of you that are watching, hit the like button, so that you put this in the algorithm so we can have all the other people come and join us here. There are some of the FBA people, those people who are even jumping on this. They are very hurt by this because you see, they are like, the Biden administration is giving Africans reparation. They are giving the Africans our reparation money. I remember this was like last year sometime. I was talking to some people here online, some of the FBA people, or some who are not even FBA, some people who truly, they don't understand how Africa works. You don't understand that the United States, as it stands, has nothing to offer Africa that Africa would be breaking its neck over. What do I mean? When was the last time you've heard an African country, a leader, begging the United States for anything? They are not. This is why those people that are saying Africa is backwards, Africa is not moving, I laugh at them because it's ignorant. They don't understand that the same old, the thinking that because Biden is bringing, the old system. What is the old system? You bring the Africans in, you lecture to the Africans, you bring your policy, you tell the Africans how it is going to be done. You decide and describe to Africans what human rights is. Any type of degenerate behavior that they allow in their Western civilization, things that they accept. Mind you, I am not saying I do not enjoy the United States. I do, but there are many, things here in the United States, for instance, some of their ways, the things they promote, is of no use to other people, even here in the United States. So when I said it here online, look, we are not in the same class as many other Black people you try to put us in. We have our countries, we have our nations. You're like, oh, what do you guys have? Your poor country, dusty. No, you are delusional. You are stuck in the 18th century Africa. Africa is no longer like that. You see, for the past, I think the last time they did this quote unquote US summit thing, it was during Barack Obama's time, I think 2014 or so. And what was this about? Obama at the time, this is pretty much Obama Biden again, right? So Biden was the vice president, Obama was the president. He went to Senegal, went to Kenya. You guys, some of you probably will remember this when Obama went there trying to tell Kenyan president and Kenyan people that, they should, accept homosexuality, because they are discriminating against other people. Do you guys remember this? And then the Kenyan president, wasn't having it. He pushed back on it. And once again, they are trying to do that. But the blessings for Africa, people believe it or not, was when Trump was there for 4 years. They didn't have any interactions with other people. Trump said America first. They focused on America. He wasn't pushing none of their agendas on other people. He said, do your thing, we do ours. That gave China a lot of leverage in Africa. Today in Africa, Chinese investment far supersedes American investment. There is no such thing as American investment in Africa. What they do is they come in, they say, hey, we pledge, like they are doing 55 billion, and we're going to bring American companies. How does that work? They come in there, they act like slave masters, which is the truth, trying to tell Africans about how corrupt Africans are, how Africans are not, practicing quote unquote human rights. These are the type of things they are doing. Let's just be real. They do not respect Africa. But now it is a new day in Africa because there is a competition in the market. China is the new kid on the block. Africans can get money from Chinese. They can get money from Russia. They can get money from the Arabs. And this is not begging. Some of you are thinking is begging. No, African countries have resources. They have resources that these countries need. Yes, some of you will be like, well, how come Africa wouldn't, manufacture this? No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. The United States is food sufficient. They grow stuff, but they still import food. Don't you get that? You can't grow everything. This is how trade works. Some people are going to be manufacturers, others are going to be producers. But you see, in the past, dealing with the US, the UK, France, and all these people, when they were the sole deciders of what is to, what the trade should be like. Let's just be real. Let's be honest. Look at Africa today and where Africa was. These people were pushing Africa on its knees. They sponsor wars in African countries, destabilizing African countries so they can siphon and extract the resources. When they elected Barack Obama, Black people, Africans all over, they celebrated it. But look at it. He became the devil for all Black people all over the world. Think about it. You guys remember during Obama, when Obama was there, all of a sudden, Ebola appeared in Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, those countries. That's 3 zones that are around each other. Ebola, which is a biological weapon. What did the United States do? Obama and his people. They said, oh, we are going to help Africa, because here on the news, they say we are going to help Africa. Are they really? They sent in Navy ships, people, because now that opened the gateway for them to steal the resources. What do Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, these 3 countries, what do they have in common? Liberia has plenty of rubber. Guinea have bauxite up the yin yang. Sierra Leone have diamond, gold, silver. These countries, they have other different minerals. So the difference between the United States role in Africa and China, this is the difference. That's what I'm laying out to you today. The United States come in, act as a friend, but they are really the devil, implementing, introducing biological weapons so you can bring the people to their knee, and then you come in as you're pretending to be a savior, but you brought navy ships, and they think the people did not see what they were carrying into those navy ships. But you came there to help, right? So these people are no friend to Africa. The Chinese, at least, they come in, they sit at the table. It is straight. The Chinese are not telling Africans about morality. They are not telling Africans about human rights. Now it's mono y mono. It is now left to us Africans what type of terms we're agreeing on with the Chinese. The Chinese are not coming, acting like saviors, introducing biological weapons, and then later coming in and extracting the resources. This is what they've been doing. The British have been doing that. The French, the Americans. I'm not saying the Chinese are clean. That's not what I'm saying here. But now, China and Russia, they form the BRIC nation. They are moving away from this economy that is run by the United States. And there's already rumors that South Africa have joined the BRIC. It's one of the BRIC nations. And I believe Nigeria is leaning towards that. Many of the African countries are leaning towards the BRIC nations. See, what China did for Africa, let me explain this to you. So after colonization, African countries had to continue to rely on European nations and Americans. So you look at the loan terms they introduced to African nations. If you read the Economic Hitman, what do? They come and force these loans on you with high interest rates. They put the chains around African nations. If you look at it, this is why African nations have been drowning, just drowning people. But now, if you look at it today, where are we? With China. So when American influence and leadership left Africa, China came and filled in that space. Yes, some of you will say the terms are bad, whatever, but hey, at least you have a seat at the table and negotiate your own terms. Now it's left to you, to your intelligence, what you do with the money you are receiving. And the Chinese, they deliver fast. And all these terms about trying to tell you about what your culture should be like, what you should accept, all those red tapes is not attached to it. But the United States, if they give you, it's not really give. Even if they are loaning Africa, they have to lecture African countries. So Africans have been ignoring the United States. For this past few years, they've been ignoring them. You go around Africa today, Chinese are building highways in African nations. They are building buildings all over Africa. So the Africans are like, hey, we don't need the United States. Why do we need these people to come here and disrespect us, to try to lecture to us, telling us what we should be like? So I'm going to play Joe Biden's statement that he gave at this quote unquote African summit. And it is funny Some of his tactics that he's trying to use, his talking points are familiar when he's talking to Black America. Because you see, it's easy to sway the blacks because the blacks think they are going to get reparation. The blacks are not getting anything. I've told them this. It is easier because the United States have to buy friends. This 55 billion is an attempt now to try to buy influence back in Africa because China and Russia are the ones that have the influence there. Even Turkey, the United States is at the bottom. I think they spend what, 7 billion in Africa? 7 billion. Even remittances alone that Africans send back home is way more than that. So the United States is a tiny player. They left a vacuum. By the time they returned, it was filled. So now, Africans are like, hey, look, we don't have to listen to you. We have another friend we can get loans from. And guess what? This friend don't have to tell us anything. They don't have to tell us how to do things. They don't lecture us on human rights. We agree to terms, we negotiate, we do what we agree upon. And that's that. Mind you, let me tell you guys, because some people might mistake this, run around and say the Africans are begging. The African leaders did not ask for this summit. Just let me make sure I clear this. The Africans have been snubbing the United States. They have no business with the United States. The United States is seeing that they are losing Africans by the day. Because the position the United States once held, they are no longer there. More and more Africans are turning towards the East, meaning China and Russia, Turkey. That's where all the trade is taking place. So the United States doesn't want to let go of that. So this 55 billion compared to what China is doing is just a drop in the bucket. So some of you might think, oh man, Biden is not giving us FBA, reparation. Look, we the Africans, we already know what is attached to this. It's a new day. We Africans are waking up. If you want to buy our friendship, you are no longer coming to us, lecturing us. Yes, you are going to buy our friendship and we are going to put a price to it. I know some of you like to say, oh, you Africans are lazy. You cannot build skyscrapers on this. Great, but we have resources, right? It's okay. I'm totally okay with the Chinese building these roads. Who do you think is building Dubai? They have the money. They are bringing in people to build it. So Africans, we have to learn that as well. I have seen some beautiful homes, beautiful structures the Chinese are building, skyscrapers. It's okay if, look, our first generation right now, if we don't know how to build it, that's okay. But many are getting inspired. They are learning. They are doing this. So don't let anyone make you feel bad to try to tell you, oh man, the Chinese are taking over Africa. No, they are not taking over Africa. The people that want to take over Africa, those are the United States, France. France already have, part of Africa. I'm going to speak on that maybe on a later show. But the truth is, some of the people that are running around, if you look at it, we did not even invite them in. Can you believe it? Like the United States, they are like, oh my God, Africa is ignoring us. Let's call them in. And they pledged this. The African leaders did not beg for anything, just so you guys know. Let me see some of the comments here. Said Yvette Cannell did not like this news. Of course not. Gem Jewel said we should also learn how to build. Yes, people are actually building. There are a lot of African builders. Ike said, I am currently building apartments in Ghana. Ike, that's a great idea. One of my friends, he's building like nice, I'm talking nice standard apartments in the Gambia, he lives here in the States. I think it's like 9 apartment buildings, and this is what I'm telling everyone. Look, I get it. Now, most Africans have come out here in the West. You are seeing the standards. So if you put it on paper, you go with it, you can build the same thing. You can raise the standard up. It is the Africans who can make that happen because nobody else can make that happen. If it means the Chinese know how to build, great. Oh, but there are African builders too. We have to be open to all options. This is why United States, this move is not gonna work. I know they're probably like, hey, check this out. You know what we're gonna do? China and Russia, they're getting influence their influence is getting greater in Africa. Here's what we're gonna do. Let's bring the Africans in because these Africans are poor. We are going to, say, hey, this is kind of like a partnership. They think it's like, the same old back in the days, feed the children Africa. This is not that Africa, ladies and gentlemen. So Joe Biden, he is stuck in the past. And they brought, the Major General Lloyd, the black general. Remember, guys, I told you every every time, even you look at with black people in America, the Democrats is the same tactic they use with Africa too. Anytime they want something from black America, what do? They bring in a black person and put the black person in the front to speak. So they brought this black general along with them. They brought Kamala also along to talk to the African leaders. So the same technique they use with black America, they're using with Africa, thinking let's bring a black face. So this is why ADOS, FBA, those of you that are getting upset, saying look at the Africans getting reparation. Trust me, don't think this is a win. It's not a win because these people are trying to pull a 419 on Africa. This is the truth. Thinking that, oh yeah, here's 55 billion, you move away from China, you come to us. That's a drop in the bucket. 55 billion. So that means 1 billion for each African country. Is that what this is supposed to be? Look at what China is offering. Look at what Russia is offering. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no shame in going with the highest bidder. It is high time that we, the Africans, stop allowing people to pull 419 on us, broad daylight. Yeah, Ike, it's 54 countries, but 55 billion. I get the extra billion that's for, I guess that's reserved for the invincible African country. And also, mind you, why China is really winning in Africa? Let me tell you. Look, in America, what do these Democrats do? They kill the blacks with empty talk, empty promises. So Biden, they said this 55 billion is a pledge over 4 years. But Ukraine, look at Ukraine. Was that a pledge? No. The money went straight. So in Africa, too, money talks, bullshit walks. So China, when they come and negotiate with Africans, once the deal falls through, guess what? They bring the money right away. Now, this is what Africans are used to now, people. This is what Africans are used to. So this 55 billion, honestly, people, is really nothing. It's nothing. Now Africans they've woken up to this. Even just in the 90s, it's not even that long ago. In Sierra Leone, the president Ahmed Tidiane Kaba, he worked for the United Nations for a while. Smart man, hip to the game. So sometimes, like African presidents, give them you should give them some slack, because most of them, they want to do the right thing, but it is these forces that collide against them. So Tijan Kaba refused to sign a deal over the Sierra Leonean diamonds. Like, they want him to sign this deal, which would, literally F Sierra Leone over. When he refused, you know what they did? Right then and there, within a short time, there was a coup. They formed the coup right away. Boom, they removed him. He ran over to Guinea in exile. They came, they met him again. They said, Mr. Kaba, if you sign this deal, you can go back. You can literally go back. So eventually he had to sign that deal. And when he signed the deal, guys, believe it or not, he went back. And they went, the British, they had some British Marines on standby. It's not like they went and negotiated. No, they send in troops, and they shot their way in to remove the coupists and bring the guy back. So this is what these good old, white governments were doing in Africa and still wants to do. So don't think this is a win, people. It's not a win. That 55 billion is nothing compared to what China is doing. And American companies, when they come in, man, they are cutthroat. They are cutthroat. The country they come in, you are not benefiting. They are taking everything out. All the money is leaving that country. Nothing is staying. So don't. It's never a win. They just want to talk. But before we get into that, let me, before we get into the video, let me play my copyright here. All right, we got that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to kick back. Let's hear what Joe Biden, the US president, said. But before we do that, let me, allow you to kick back and, know that the topic today, I'm going to be talking black to all of you. Here we go. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So I'm going to play this video here, what Joe Biden said, and you will see for yourself here. Bear with me. Here we go.
Being here, particularly since I said Morocco is about to play as the first African nation in the semifinals of the World Cup. Distinguished heads of state, leaders of regional and global institutions, and of course, representatives of more than 300 companies, African and American. Welcome to Washington. And I want to recognize our co-host, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the Corporate Council of Africa.
And by the way, let us make sure we correct Joe Biden here. He is saying Morocco, the first African nation to the World Cup. No, the first Arab country to make it to the World Cup. People, I'm going to bring the Moroccan story here today, later on. But I want us to focus on this one here because I want to show you the similarity between Morocco and France. Someone said Biden sounds drunk. No, I put it on fast forward. That's why he sounds like that. But hey, even if I don't fast forward it, he sounds drunk. He does sound drunk.
Africa, two great champions for building and growing ties of business and trade and investment between Africa and the United States, as well as the members of my administration and the members of Congress who are here today. All the members of Congress, please stand up if you're here so I can identify who you are. There's a man. All right.
So in the crowd, what they did, people, they brought mostly they selected their black representatives and brought them in. You see, so Joe Biden somehow he thinks is the same old technique, same old technique. Okay, but it's not same old technique because you see, Africans, like I said, have woken up to the BS. They are like, it's all talk. We need the cheddar. Where is the cheddar at? All right, cool. You are into another certain lifestyle. We are into other lifestyles. You don't see us trying to promote polygamy. Don't you think, in Africa, we practice polygamy. Some people enjoy polygamy. But in the US, polygamy is a felony. You people in the US are outraged to hear that you someone who has, 2 or 3 wives. Oh, but they don't want you to be shocked by Adam and Steve or Jen and Jill. That should be normal to you. If not, that means you are a bad person. Don't bring that mess to Africa, because if your feelings are easily hurt, I can assure you, if you bring that mess over there, they will tell you like it is. They will tell you like it is. It don't matter how much money you have, you can't buy them like that. I can tell you that much.
I'm sure you're out there somewhere. Look, this forum is about building connections. It's about closing deals. And above all, it's about the future, our shared future. We've known for a long time that Africa's success and prosperity is essential to assuring a better future for all of us, not just for Africa. I've been engaged in these issues going.
So I don't know what's going on here. People I've noticed, everyone has been saying, oh, Africa is the future. Africa is the future. Biden is over here saying, this future is not only for you, Africa. We share this future together. Okay, I don't know what that exactly means. But one thing I know for sure, this is 419 talk. This is pimp talk. He is trying to pull a fast one on Africa, because the reality of it is none of this is in the interest of Africa. There's a reason why they are pushing this now. Because China, I'm telling you, China is gaining ground by the day. You add Russia onto that, the BRICS bloc, look, I'll tell you right now, South Africa is not playing this mess. And I applaud the Ghanaian president. I'm telling you guys, the tone I'm hearing from the African side, I can assure you, it is promising. The Africans are no longer with the BS. They're no longer with the BS. It's not like they're like, oh yeah, the US promised. Most of them that are talking, they don't even care that the United States is pledging 55 billion. They're like, China is giving more than that. So this pimp talk that Joe Biden, they like to pull on the blacks, because you see the blacks are mostly politically illiterate. They go by sentiments. They go by skin color. They bring celebrity in front of them. That's not how Africans operate. With Africans, if you say you're there to do business, let's do business. So you say it's business, but then you come in, you're telling me, hey, this is what I like to do in my bedroom. You should also accept that. You're like, hey, wait a minute. I just want to do business. I don't care about what you do in your bedroom. Why are you telling me this? If you want to turn Africans off completely, if you want, because some people say you can buy Africans for anything. That's one thing I can assure you, you cannot buy them with. They won't go for it. So China, on the other hand, they come in, they don't tell you anything. They just do business and move on. Who wouldn't want to do that? And they deliver fast. They bring the money fast. I mean, some of the things attached to it, that's a whole different topic. But here we are shining light on Joe and America.
Back to my days as a young man in the United States Senate. When I was on the Foreign Relations Committee, I was chairman of the African Affairs Subcommittee and got to spend a lot of time in Africa. I visited almost all of your countries. When I was vice president serving with President Obama, we hosted the first U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit, including U.S.-Africa Business Forum. We saw so clearly the enormous potential that we can harness if we did it together. And holding the first of its kind summit in 2014 was a watershed moment to cement new kinds of partnerships between our nations. Partnerships not to create political obligation, not or foster dependence, but to spur shared success. I emphasize shared success and opportunity. Because when Africa succeeds, the United States succeeds. Quite frankly, the whole world succeeds as well. Now, 8 years later, the world has undergone a great many changes. We're still grappling with the deadly pandemic, facing down war and instability, addressing economic challenges with global impact, fighting rising food prices, tackling the impacts of climate change. And each of these crises has only heightened the vital role African nations and peoples play to address the global challenges that drive our global progress. We can't solve any of these challenges without African leadership at the table. And I'm not trying to be nice, that's a fact. African ideas and innovation helping to shape the solutions, and African population contributing to every step.
Look, you notice he's using the black talk here. It's like, oh yeah, we cannot move forward with, without Africa. We have to, bring Africa in. And I'm not just saying this as a compliment. It's called backhanded compliment. Joe Biden is talking to a changed African mindset here. He's talking to, see, when somebody, it's hard for a person to change their mind, but once they've changed their mind, man, it's really hard to get them to turn back around. Because America now is competing with China and Russia. And Russia is talking about building nuclear plants in Africa. And these nuclear plants, what would they do? To help stabilize electricity in Africa. Because if you look at it, in the Congo River has enough water, to supply that whole area. If they build nuclear plants there to supply most of Africa with electricity. Do you guys know this? So now you have another competition who is coming. They are not just talking or trying to pimp you. They are saying, hey, here is what we can do. Here's what we need to do. So this is what I was telling people from the get-go. I said, don't worry. People are going to say Africa is poor, but we are not poor. We have leverage. We have the leverage. It's just a matter of people waking up and seeing it. There are people who are going to talk down to Africa, try to, shit down on Africa. But at the end of the day, Africa is still under the spell of 1884, and many are slowly waking up. So when two enemies are colliding, right? And these enemies, they need resources. And guess who's got most of the resources? Africa. One wants to use force and lecture and take it from you. Another one is actually bringing money, and African countries are now able to buy lots of weapons from Russia and China. The United States, if they're even selling weapons to African countries, it's like all red tape. They don't even give them good stuff. But Russia and China, they sell to you what you want to buy. They sell to you what you want to buy. So, in a way, Africa has to look at what benefits Africa. It's not all this pledging aid stuff. Africa has to say goodbye to it. This is why Ghana's president said, Africa is no longer going to be begging. He said Africans need to stop begging. This is true. Africans need to march into the room from now on with their chin up. Like when the Africans had the meeting with China, the economic meeting, before the meeting, the agenda was published. You could see it online. The African leaders saw it. The African leaders also counted it. They came up with their own. Not the United States. Even with this quote unquote summit, they didn't publish what this meeting is about. That's because the United States believe they deal with Africa based in policy, saying we have our policy. We're just going to come to you and tell you what our policies are. And all you need to do is just be a good Negro, good boy, and follow these steps, and we will give you money. We are no longer in that day. Those days are gone. That is total disrespect, and Africans are not going for it anymore. Those days are over.
So the only question when I took office was not if we'd host another U.S. African Leadership Summit, but when. My administration's engagement with Africa and the priority we place on these relationships began on day one. We've been working steadily with regional diplomacy and investments to demonstrate our commitment. We harnessed decades of cooperation through PEPFAR and President's Malaria Initiative and other partnerships in global health security to help save lives and combat COVID-19. The United States delivered 231 million doses of vaccines to 49 countries across Africa and worked together with you to get the vaccines into the arms in hard-to-reach communities. Critically, we invested in Africa.
So these same quote-unquote vaccines he's pushing, they are already coming up saying there's issues with these. There's a lot of questionable things around this. But here he is trying to push this, continuing to push this, and trying to fearmonger, saying, you would hear him say here, oh yeah, there's going to be another pandemic for sure. So now they are agreeing that it is man-made. So if things don't go our way, we'll just create another pandemic. That's what he's saying.
Capacity to manufacture its own vaccines, diagnostics, and therapeutics, so Africa can meet its own needs and contribute to the global supply chain. And even as we work to end COVID-19, we continue building stronger health systems and institutions and accelerating efforts to achieve universal health coverage. to make sure we're better prepared to tackle the health challenges, including the next pandemic, and there surely will be one. We also advanced our commitment to strengthen food security. Security, including expanding the Feed the Future program to partner with 8 additional African countries. And I'll be speaking more tomorrow about this effort to both address the immediate food crisis.
Sorry, guys, I was muted there. So what he's saying is, for sure, there's going to be another pandemic. You know, that's coded message like, hey, we got the power to create another pandemic, just FYI. So that's something you Africans should think about. So he's pushing a product that clearly, even here in the West, you know, is questionable, has big red question mark around it. Healthy grown people were, you know, few have dropped dead, and they are not telling us the reasons. But one thing they know is they are part of the people that took the jabs. But he wants to sell that to Africa. No, thank you.
And strengthen the food system in Africa for the long term. We're taking on climate crisis, prioritizing not just energy transition in America, but in nations of all of Africa, and meeting the urgent needs of countries to adapt to the climate impacts that are already here. Just last month, I traveled to COP27 in Egypt, where I announced $150 million in an effort to support adaptation efforts in Africa, a down payment of my commitment to provide $3 billion annually to global adaptation efforts for 2024. And in a year that has seen elections across Africa, we've worked together with the...
And you notice, right? The American narcissistic behavior. So these people just refuse to acknowledge who you are. They're like, hey, go there, whatever you do, just keep saying Africa, Africa. You know, Africa is one big old country. Okay? One big old country. You know, Africa is just one big Negro. Go there, treat them, deal with them just like you're dealing with one big Negro in the USA. The same policy. Never ever let these Negroes think that they have a voice as individual countries. Oh yeah, you went to Egypt. Yeah, I gave them 150 million. Now all of a sudden that's for Africa. Guys, think about this. This is why they are losing their footing in Africa. Because you cannot keep repeating the same old, and think the result is going to be the same. At some point, the people you're trying to, you know, pull a wool over their eyes, they are going to wake up. They are going to see that this is all a game. And that's what's happening.
The African Union to strengthen democracy and the core values that unite our people, all our people, especially young people: freedom, opportunity, transparency, good governance. Now, you might be thinking, this is a forum dedicated to deepening business ties and advancing two-way trade investments between Africa and the United States. Why is Biden talking so much about all these other areas? Well, it's because Africa's economic transition depends on good government, healthy populations, and reliable and affordable energy. These things business seeks out when they're looking to invest. They attract new opportunities, and they launch new partnerships. And the United States is committed to supporting every aspect of Africa's inclusive growth and creating the best possible environment for sustained commercial engagement between Africa companies and American companies. The United States is all in on Africa's future. And the work we've done over the past 2 years building on...
Oh, United States is all in the future of Africa. So what is the catch? So people here, you look at it, the blacks are here, they've been asking for reparation. You know, they're like, oh no, we don't have money for the blacks. But you all of a sudden you got money for Africa. And A86 Liar, you are right. This is a lecture This is a lecture. This is not a summit. It is a lecture. As usual. As usual. Visionary of Love says suddenly Biden can speak very fast. No, that's because I'm fast. I fast forwarded it. He can't speak this fast because I don't want us to sit here and hear him all day. So I'm the one that changed the speed so I can get through this video fast.
Decades of vital investments made under previous American presidents has helped make possible the critical steps that I'm about to announce. First, the United States is signing a historic memorandum of understanding with the new African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. This MOU will unlock new opportunities for trade and investment between our countries and bring Africa and the United States even closer than ever. This is an enormous opportunity for Africa's future, and the United States wants to help make those opportunities real. We're finally implementing the African Continental Free Trade Area. It will represent one of the largest free trade areas in the world, 1.3 billion people, and a continent-wide market totaling $3.4 trillion. And with
Guys, did you hear this? So they've already done the math. So do not underestimate population with economy. So this is pretty much what Biden is saying here. This should wake every African up and put all these differences aside. Think economy. Okay? Don't try to go looking for people to try to pat you in the head to say they love you whatsoever. No, Africans have to open the market to each other. Biden just told you how much money is involved in the African market. But that cannot happen without Africans actually opening up the market to Africans. People see the value in Africa, but now Africans have to step their game up and see the value that everyone is seeing. Let me thank Go Black Plow. Go Black said, unvaxxed. Go Plow, thank you very much for the super chat. Trust me, you have plenty of friends in this chat here who are just like you. Thank you very much. And I'll give you the golden thank you for that.
Baby girl love my bop and I like me too. No roof on my top and my babe see-through. Hating on the pen, don't stop, shit ain't gon' feed you. I've been all on my grind, so why I need you? Baby girl love my bop and I like me too. No roof on my top and my babe.
Thank you very much for that super chat. Now let's continue with Joe Biden here.
The new MOU, we're doing things correctly, enshrining protection for workers, both across Africa and in the United States. Looking out for small and medium-sized entrepreneurs and enterprises to make sure they have a fair shot to compete. Lifting up opportunity for women-owned businesses, diaspora-owned businesses, and businesses owned by members of historically underserved communities. And supporting and investing in continent's vibrant and...
Guys, Biden is babbling at this point. So you talking to Africans, and you talk, how is this underserved communities in America coming into play? Africa, this should even wake us up more. So this man is telling us he's quote unquote underserved communities he's not even taking care of. But he wants to give Africa, quote unquote, all this money. Guys, this sounds like a pimp. Sounds like he's just babbling. Okay? He's just babbling. But let's see if he's going to, talk about the black people's reparation in this conversation. Because, Africans want to know, what is the deal between you and the blacks? You told them that you're going to give them reparation if they vote for you. How's that going? That's not working, right? So obviously we know this game. You're playing a game here. But we, the Africans, should not fall for it. I'm just telling you. And trust me, I am not saying China or Russia are our friends. We know they want the resources. Let's put a price on the resource. Let's put a price on it. Let's put conditions around it. That's just all Africa needs to do. And also, Africa needs to take drastic measures. I'm talking drastic measures when it comes to curbing corruption. Where one individual, like let's say people that go and negotiate and make deals, for instance, one individual giving away the country's resources for pennies because let's say some of these people just they would give them a couple of $1 million. Yeah, that's big money for just them and their family. But what about the rest of the nation? So that's high treason at the highest level. Selling the future of the nation. Because you see, when those investments fail, when these people take those resources and give them away for pennies to allow African nations to continue to wallow in this quote unquote poverty, where the people's life are not improving, they should put a death penalty to crimes like that. Anyone that does something like that and you're found guilty and there's proof, there should be a death penalty attached to it. Because guess what? Those people are murderers. Those people are killing the future of, of children who are even yet to be born. It's a serious problem. If you look at it, most of us inherited the incompetence of the various governments we found in place due to either their ignorance, arrogance, or greed. One of these three have caused African nations to plunge into these poor conditions that many are speaking of today. And people say, how come, like people disrespect Africans? This is why. It's not because of our skin color. It's because of our financially poor condition. Just take it from yourself. Someone that always comes to you begging, you start despising them. This is what many have developed for Africans around the world. Because in the past, our leaders were doing that. But slowly but surely, they are moving away from that. And when we see this, we have to point it out so that many will be encouraged. But let's not just continue to put them down. Those who stand up, those who want to raise the dignity of Africans, those people, we shouldn't badmouth. We should promote them so that others would be jealous and follow suit. But what I'm proposing here, this is what would help curb corruption in various African countries. When the death penalty is attached to it, it will bring changes to various African countries. The punishment has to be harsh, plain and simple.
Growing urban economies. Together, we want to build a future of opportunity where no one is left behind. Second, we're investing to facilitate greater regional trade within Africa, including by investing in infrastructure. Today, the Millennium Challenge Corporation signed its first ever regional transport compact with the governments of Benin and Niger. This compact will invest $500 million to build and maintain roads, put in place policies that reduce transportation costs, making it easier and faster for ships to ship goods from the port of Cotonou to neighboring landlocked countries.
See, look at this. So the landlocked countries in Africa, like Mali is a landlocked country, right? Mali get a lot of shipments through Senegal or Gambia, right? Burkina Faso is a landlocked country. They get their shipments, from Ghana, Togo, So he's talking about for them to control the shipment from Cotonou. So now they want to come into the business that, mind you, these African ports are already making money off of. He's like, oh, we can enter the shipment game there, so they can start, spreading, so they can control the market to ship to landlocked countries in Africa. They want that money. And now all of a sudden they want to build roads. All this opportunity the United States have had being in Africa. How come they never took part in all this? They were busy, trying to tell Africans how Africans should be, the policies Africans need to follow, what Africans should practice. But now they want to build roads. They want to control the shipments, to the landlocked countries. This is laughable, guys. This is laughable. This is why I'm telling you that United States is not offering, let me say Biden, he's not offering anything that Africans want. He's not offering anything Africans want. Because everything he's talking about, the Africans already have under control. But he's like, no, just give me the business, and then, I'll collect the money for you. This is silly at best.
Since the start of my administration, the MCC has announced new investments of nearly $1.2 billion in Africa. We expect the MCC to commit an additional $2.5 billion across Africa in just the next 3 years, supporting everything from agriculture to transportation to access to renewable energy. In fact, the MCC just announced discussions for partnerships with 4 African countries. Our first COP4 compacts, Gambia, Togo, to boost economic development, and a compact with Senegal to bolster regional.
Okay, see, that is a problem. So the first 4 countries, guess where? Gambia. Okay, I understand this one, they are definitely making the move. I know this to be true. The Gambian government, I heard people in the Gambian Facebook side making a lot of commotion. A lot of people are upset because the Gambia, good old little Gambia, had to be in the lineup here. So Gambia government, quote unquote, just donated large piece of land to the American embassy. This place that used to be the former monkey park, donated this land on the beach to the American government people, to the American embassy. Guys, do you guys think that's just mere donation? Like, what's that all about? What is that all about? You see, Gambia is at a strategic location because it's like 7 hours flight from the US East Coast. And it's easy to just ship things in. So yeah, they gave them this land, people. They gave the US embassy the land. So I don't know if that's a good idea. Because pretty much it's like, give them the chance to spy. Yeah, give them the chance to control everything. But this free land thing, is suspect. So there goes, some of the black people that are saying, oh, the Africans are not giving land. Well, your government just took it for free. Talk to Biden. They got free land.
Connections, a threshold program in Mauritania to help strengthen democratic governance and pursue policy reform to unlock economic growth. These MCC investments are part of the work we're doing worldwide through the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. I propose this initiative together with the rest of the G7 to help fill the need for quality, high-standard infrastructure in Africa and in low-income and middle-income countries around the world. That the G7 meeting.
Guys, this is wild. I gotta read some of these comments. Um, Visionary of Love is absolutely correct. What you wrote here said, it stresses me to see how they beat down small thieves in Gambia, and the red big fishes thieves are walking around free and are even honored. Yes, I think over there you're absolutely correct. It seems like if they want to steal, it has to be in the millions for you to be able to walk around. I understand even this land thing. That's what many are saying. They said they believe some corrupt officials received $11 million, but they pretended that they are donating the land. So this is a problem. Rasmoy said Mauritania is 95% desert. Yeah, it's. I mean, Mauritania is part of the Arab League, so they can deal with that.
Earlier this year, we announced our intention to collectively mobilize $600 billion in the next 5 years. Today's announcement join a portfolio of partnership for global infrastructure and investment projects already underway in Africa, including mobilizing $8 billion in public and private finance to help South Africa replace coal-fired power plants with renewable energy sources and develop cutting-edge energy solutions like clean hydrogen. A deal worth $2 billion to build solar energy projects in Angola. $600 million in high-speed communications cable that will connect Southeast Asia to Europe via Egypt and the Horn of Africa and help bring high-speed internet connectivity to countries all along the way. The bottom line is simple. Trade runs on reliable infrastructure to support and secure resilient supply chains. And improving Africa's infrastructure is essential to our vision of building a stronger global economy that can better withstand the kinds of shocks that we've seen in the past few years. Third, we're continuing to support innovation and entrepreneurship across Africa, investing in Africa's people. Developing human capital alongside physical infrastructure is another core aspect of the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. Today, I'm announcing that the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation is investing nearly $370 million in new projects, $100 million to increase the reliable, clean energy for millions of people in sub-Saharan Africa, $20 million to provide financing for fertilizer to help smallholder farmers, particularly women farmers, increase the yields of their crops, $10 million to support small and medium-sized enterprises.
Guys, do you hear the amounts he's saying? These people really think he's going with the status quo. People, he really thinks. I mean, like, really? Are you kidding me? 20 million for fertilizers for all of sub-Saharan Africa? 10 million. He's talking about the technology. They want the technology. We want to help you guys, with the cybersecurity. You mean so you guys can spy on us? Okay, who is this cybersecurity even against? Who is engaging in this? So you create it. If you want to control these countries, you do it whenever you feel like it. This is silly. This is silly. So he's not saying anything here in the interest of Africa. They should have done their investigation and find out what Africa is all about these days. What Africa is all about these days. People have woken up to America's BS.
Prizes that help bring clean drinking water to communities all across the continent, just to name a few examples. And we also know that one of the most essential resources of any entrepreneur or small business owner who wants to participate in the global economy is reliable and affordable access to the internet. So today, I'm announcing a new initiative, the Digital Transformation with Africa, working with Congress to invest $350 billion to facilitate more than almost $500 million in financing to make sure people across Africa can participate in the digital economy.
See, again, America, I don't know who's writing this to Joe Biden, but he's an idiot. Like, this is a bunch of BS. Already, there are most parts of Africa, they are already engaged in the digital currency market. This guy is talking about things that are already happening. They've been happening for years, like South Africa, Kenya, most of East Africa, Nigeria. People are already engaged in this digital business. Exactly, Gem Jewel. They want to create new consumer class. That's just what it is. New consumer class, like they've done to the black people here in America, turn them into consumers, and keep promising them more and more stuff, but they don't deliver. So now they are trying to do the same thing, making it sound good, but this is not good. I'm telling you, it is not good for Africa.
That includes partnerships like new collaboration between Microsoft and Visa to bring in internet access to 5 million Africans, part of Microsoft's commitment to bring access to 100 million people across Africa by the end of the year 2025. That means programs to train African entrepreneurs with a focus on women entrepreneurs, to code and build skills that need to start their own businesses, to secure good paying jobs with technology firms. And this will include partnerships between African American companies to provide cybersecurity
Whoa, guys, I want you guys to hear this part.
services to make sure Africa's digital environment is reliable and secure.
Okay, did you hear what he said here? He said they are going to use African American cybersecurity companies. African American cyber security companies. What African American cyber security companies do you know? So we need to pay attention to this. Pretty soon you would see they would prop up some black person, quote unquote, and say, look, we support this black person just created a cybersecurity CIA, and he would be sent to Africa. This is why even that Terrence Howard, when he went to Uganda, I was suspicious of it. Some people are like, oh man, Terrence Howard is doing the Africa thing. But let me tell you, Museveni of Uganda is not dumb. Museveni did not become president just out of the blue. This man fought a rebellion. He was in the jungles, okay, fighting to become president. I'm talking, militarily. The president of what's the name? Rwanda, Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame trained under him in a camp in Uganda. Okay, so he knew right away. He knew what was going on. This is why during the election, he banned Twitter, because Twitter, before Elon Musk just got it, which still I'm suspicious of, it is a CIA controlled. They use this to manipulate elections. So when Uganda's election rolled around, he shut it down. He shut it because they wanted to use it to create commotion in that country. So he shut it down. So when Terrence Howard came, the same thing. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to send this high yeller, black man. Now all of a sudden, Terrence Howard is into computers. He built something. So he's going to go test this in Uganda. So there's something is up there pushing for something. So they are setting us up, Africans, mentally to say, yeah, we're going to use African American company. They can use African American face to make Africans feel comfortable. You're going to be, oh yeah, it's black brother. It's our black brother. No, he's just the face. He is just the face, just like they are doing in America. Like they put these people on television, these black people, the black face is to make black people in America comfortable. They are doing is the same technique. The same technique. African American company. Are they supporting any African American company here? So we have to pay attention to this and see which new African American company is just going to spring out of the blue. That is a cybersecurity company that's going to say, oh yeah, we want to operate in Africa. Look out for that. It's coming.
That brings me to my final announcement. I said at the top of this forum about closing deals, and we've delivered. So just give me a few, let's give you a few highlights from the deal room to the benefits they will deliver to Africa. Cisco Systems and Cyber Bastion, a diaspora-owned small business, is jointly announcing $800 million in new contracts to protect African countries from cyber threats.
You mean you want to get them more into the cyber space so you can eventually be able to use that to threaten them? Look, I'm breaking the codes down for you here. Oh, the cyber threat that you want to implement and create. Guys, in a way, some of this lack of, super, cyber infrastructure in Africa saves a lot of African countries because it's hard for them to operate in many ways because they don't have the grid power. So they want Africans to open this up so they can set things in place. So these cyber things they're talking about, instead of doing military, like physical force, they can do everything from the cyberspace because that's what's happening right now. So in a way, that is Africa's blessing for still being behind in that aspect because they cannot function to attack Africa, through cyber system. It's not easy. I mean, I'm sure some of the places that have enough cyber for that to happen, but it's not up to like the US, UK, like Western world. So in a way, that's the blessing.
Visa is committing to putting more than $1 billion into Africa over the next 5 years to further expand the operations on the continent, including providing mobile payment services for more micro, small, and medium-sized businesses across Africa. General Electric and Standard Bank will provide $80 million to improve healthcare services and provide access to cutting-edge healthcare equipment. Altogether, the forum has spurred more than $15 billion in new deals, which will lift up, and improve the lives of people all across the continent. And that's the biggest deal of all. These are long-term investments that are going to deliver real benefits to people, create new, good-paying jobs, including here in the United States, and expand opportunities for all our countries for the years to come. All of you, the deals you've signed, the investments we've made together are concrete proof of the enduring commitment we're making to one another, government to government, business to business, people to people. But most important, and this is just the beginning, there's so much more we can do together and that we'll do together. So thank you for your participation today, for being part of another historic U.S. African Leaders Summit. We've got a lot of ground to cover in the coming.
So guys, you've heard that, right? Let me drop the link. I want to hear from you guys. And, along the line, I'm going to play another video here, but I'm going to drop the link. Guys, I want to hear from all of you. Anyone that can hit the link, you have something to say, what you think about this. Do you think the United States here, this is going to work? Or they should just take the L and move on? And if you think, oh no, Afridamus, you're wrong. The United States, in fact, you just don't understand. They have a lot that Africa need. So feel free to come and express that too. But he hasn't said anything here that would be beneficial to Africa. He just sounds like a pimp, if you ask me. So the link is coming in. Make sure you hit the link, and I'll be waiting here. Before that, let me, remind you guys of, my black card. Today we are in the black zone. All right. So here we go. All right. The link is in the box there. Feel free to hit that. So I came across another video, and in this video, it was Dr. Ericana, Pan Africanist. I've done video on Dr. Ericana before on her Wakandan city, and in the past, I think, I was critical of her Pan African fantasy, but I think her take, her take on this one, I actually support. I support Arikana on this for sure, because okay, here we go. Let's see. Okay, the Mad Marylander. All right, we have the Mad Marylander. Welcome to the show. Where are you calling from? Can you hear me? Mad Marylander, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes.
You can hear me, right?
Where you calling from?
I'm calling from obviously the name.
Maryland.
Yeah.
All right. Are you
Yeah.
FBA, ADOS?
No, I'm not FBA. My parents are from the Caribbean.
From the Caribbean. All right. So what do you think about, Joe Biden, the move that they are trying to pull in Africa? Because you see, China has the influence on Russia. They are investing a lot more money. So this 55 billion is just a drop in the bucket, and it's a pledge. He's not bringing all the money. So what do you think? You
It's
know,
he's a you have to remember this man is a puppet. I mean, there's people within the government controlling him, controlling Camilla. It's all a bunch of BS. And also, yeah, I think Africans in general and black people in general watch should watch should watch all the powers. Like they should watch the United States. They should watch Russia because they're trying to use us anyway. They're trying
right,
they're trying to use y'all anyway. With China, they have a phrase "given before you take." There's a price. Let me focus on China a little bit there, and then we'll go back to Joe Biden. Let me focus on China a little bit. They have a phrase "given before you take." They're just giving you this the time they're until the time they're gonna ask you for the stuff back.
right.
You remember the situation with Kenya and
But if you look at it,
their ports. You remember
yeah.
the situation? They got mad about that because China was trying to take it. So you really should play your position. You guys really, Africa should really play their position on this
Oh
and
no, you see,
play
that's
chess.
what I'm saying with China, right? Even
Uh-huh.
okay, it's a good start, but Africans cannot sleep on anyone. The fact of the matter is
Yeah,
Africans have to show up to the table with their own agenda at hand.
right.
You cannot allow other people to dictate to you what the terms are, because you're bringing something to the table that they want. So the days of, you know um these people deciding, what it should be. Hey, okay, you know what, before, like, literally, you're buying from Africa, right? It's not for free. A lot of things you hear to say aid, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Look, there's a lot of catch to it. It's not just mere aid, because go read what's in it. So it's
Yeah,
not free. It is not free.
nothing in life is
Because
for
if it,
free.
yeah, because if it's free, why do these African nations have debt? You see, so it is not the things that people are calling aid is not, because I have read about, loans that were given, let's say, to Gambia government, and the way they went and explained it and to the people, because the people on the ground, they expect that, oh, these white people are donating money to us, but no, it is a loan. It is
Yeah,
a loan. So when they say aid, meaning now these people are given the resources So when they say it's aid, meaning bribery, they've bribed them, just like Visionary of Love have said here. They bribed them. No, sorry, Atticus said aid means
This is
bribery.
this is
So
this
for
is for their
Africans,
friends. This is
huh?
actually hold on, Afridamus. This is for obviously what you said. This is for their friends over there in Africa.
Right.
That's working inside there,
No, this,
and
like, we even,
that's a
you
big
have
problem.
regular African politicians, people they put in these positions who are just greedy people, and they don't care about the interests of the rest. They just go there and they are like, hey, we'll give you 10 million, you know, 10 million. But these people are going to be getting billions out of this deal. So you just screwed your country. You screwed your country over billions of dollars just to take about $10 million. You
Just
see
like
why Africa so that's the problem. So once people, people need to, start understanding that you have to push your agenda forward, then we can move from that. But as long as we keep sending hungry people to the table, they are gonna make, bad decisions. And that's what Africa, another thing they need to overcome with China. So that's easy. But you see, with America, it's a whole different ball game.
yeah,
They don't give much, but they want to squeeze a whole lot out of you.
it's like giving a dime to a hobo instead of
Yeah,
giving him $20,
right.
and you want him to do X, Y, and Z. No, 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 no.
Yeah, it's like, it's like, all
Like
right, I promised to give you $20, but here's 10 cents, you know. But, by the time I give you the 20, I've made you, put in hours that is worth like, $1,000 worth. So it's like, come on, man, $1,000, you take 20 out of 1,000, what is that? Like, you're chilling. You made so much money off of me. So this is what is happening here.
I like,
So we,
yeah, I like the fact that some of these leaders in Africa didn't fall for the Twitter thing. Yeah,
right.
like especially watching what happened to Donald Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't just African leaders. Everyone saw it. So if Twitter can go now, they're not paragons of virtue. Let's ignore that. But they saw, okay, so if these media companies can do it to them, they could do it to me.
Right.
Yeah, I know I'm going on a
And,
tangent.
and also, what do you think about the statement that Joe Biden made about, they are going to have, support African American cybersecurity company to, for Africa? What do you think about that?
That's infiltration and division. Like
Thank you.
you pretty much putting a black face, the black face, literally the black face of white supremacy. Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that's what these leftist leaders do. They're racist too. Both like over here, both Republican and Democrat, they're both racist. You just have to know how to use them. There's this guy we have Hotep Jesus.
Oh yeah, I know Hotep Jesus. I've seen his video
Yeah,
before.
yeah. You can use the white liberal. You just have to use them properly, and that's the problem with African Americans here. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
this is crazy. See, like, just like, our movement said here, Barrow, which is the president of the Gambia, had a
right,
20-car entourage last week to
right.
view the new OIC funded road in Gambia, Delusion of Grandeur. You are absolutely correct. 20, so this is the type of things, African, like to delude themselves into. It's like, yeah, I'm the president, I'm coming, like they want to line up SUVs, like, just you're going there to inaugurate a road. Why do you need 20-car entourage with this military sweeping the road for you? You
It's
can
their
just,
ego, and they need to
like,
humble themselves like a little bit because number one, it's like your people are starting to get a little resentful. But how long you gonna put this up? That's why you have rebellions. If you were like maybe more, even if it is a dictator, if you were more benevolent, then maybe your people are gonna like, and maybe your people won't look at you and be like, okay, let's not rebel against this guy. Then he's doing what he's
Well,
supposed to do.
the people are not gonna be going for these type of BSs any longer because the internet is helping wake people up to. Let's
Exactly.
bring in Kifaru here. Kifaru, welcome to the show, Kifaru.
Yeah, welcome, my brother. There's so much I can say about these people. So just looking at your pictures, I wish the people back home can just overthrow all of them, with the exception of a few, so that they just remain in America. Like if someone we can just overthrow all of these people that in
So so
America
so so
representing
so so
Africa.
so it's 40. I think 44 of them showed up.
Mm.
Yes, I wish
40
all
or
of them could
46.
come
So you're saying remove them? Why?
with
I want
exception
to
of
hear
a
your
few.
reason.
Okay. These people, Afridamus, these people are just sell. They are shameless. Okay, they have no clue of what is going on. I don't expect that people who have this authority for their various countries should be this clueless. You understand? You're taking yourself and putting yourself into more debt, and you're making yourself how do I say, like, completely dependent on America
But
or what
but they
they
have
say.
not but they have not accepted it. You heard just Biden when they are lecturing, they brought the General Lloyd, like, and what do you think
Afrodamus,
about
yeah.
this idea that he said they are going to
Af-
bring in African
mhm.
American cybersecurity company to run it in Africa? What do you think about that?
Well,
You remember the
Afrodamus,
infiltration I was talking about?
yeah, yeah. They're
Uh,
doing it anyway. These people, America single-handedly is sponsoring your African Union. So all this is just for mirage. They don't even need these people to come here.
no, but China is sponsoring it too. That's what
But
America is trying to counter. China,
okay,
America only spent 7.9 billion in Africa. They are way behind China.
At, at least
Way
China's
behind.
pretending to care. At least.
okay,
No,
okay,
well, the thing is, we
okay.
need to stop worrying about who cares. It's about what we care about
I
is
said pretended. I
you,
said pretending.
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
say. I
yeah.
didn't say they're
You're
really
right.
caring.
You're right. But the thing is, we should just focus on trade. You
Okay,
know,
exactly. Okay. This is my problem. This is not trade. Okay.
I know.
This
Uh-huh.
is this is making Africa dependent on America. This is done on purpose. I want to give you an
Right.
example. If you know about the Ongowa, okay, they are making African people to import waste from America. It's part of their deal, like secondhand clothes. You must
Yes.
be,
Oh,
you
yeah.
must do that.
I was about to,
Again,
I
yeah,
was about to talk
yeah,
about that.
yeah. Again, okay. For example, is dependent. Like if you remember in 2020, 2018, the American military had to pay Ghanaian government $20 million to have complete access to their airport, so the American army can come to Ghana and fly in and out, and no one asks them, "What are you doing there?" They have complete right to come in and fly for $20 million. It's part of all of these things like this. When they're giving you aid, they're not giving you aid because they want you. They want to make you dependent. Like they see where they think, okay, you're trying to do it on your own completely, and so for them to stop you, they need to come and give you some money. Say, okay, you stop it. We're gonna help you. You become dependent. So there was one time I was listening to some guy. He said, "These people don't understand America. America is an expansionist state. That
Yes.
is their purpose. That is their purpose. They want to keep on growing and have control. Everything they do, their military, their science, is expansionist. That's their purpose." And he asked
They're,
me, "What
they're
is the
degeneracy.
purpose of this?
Degeneracy.
What is the
Sorry.
purpose of this African country?" He asked me, "What's the purpose of Cameroon? What's the purpose of Ghana? What's the purpose of Nigeria? Is this just to beg?" So we need people that will really understand the purpose of their country and see themselves as competition with the rest of the world. I've never seen Asian summit, American Asian summit. They call Joe Biden to
No,
come to
no,
Asia.
no, no. They do. They have
Kifaru,
American
that's
Asian
wrong.
Summit. They
Kifaru,
do
that's not
have
true.
it. They do have that.
Whatever, but this is to me, this is making these people being dependent on America.
Well,
That's
that's
just
what
what.
he's trying to do. But I'm
But he's
saying
already
China,
doing it.
China feeling no, but they're not really giving anything to make that happen. Like I said, China is already, filling that gap. The days when they used to come and dictate to Africa and say, do X, Y, and Z, or else we won't give you this.
Okay.
Africans have been getting the
Okay.
money
That's
from
true.
China, and they've been getting it fast.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Afridamus. Let's not forget the politicians are more important. China is in China. China's relationship in Africa is more of an economic one. But
Right.
America,
But what other relationship do you care about besides that
yes,
one?
okay, good. Yeah, that economic one is better. But America is going for the meat and potatoes, the politicians, because they make the policy. You understand
It's
what I'm trying
more
to say? They want to be control of these politicians.
Right.
That's what they're
The
trying to do.
difference is America wants to run Africa like they're, like the
Exactly.
big hood. So the African leaders, you gotta give it to them. They are not falling for this anymore. Remember, it's not Africans did not beg America for anything. They haven't done this in a while. So they are like, look, something is up. The Africans, they don't even ask for any help from us. It means the new friends they got have is really making them, giving them standing. That's why they don't need us. So that's why Biden
Well,
is coming up with this pledge. He's like, man, we're losing the big hood. What's
say,
going
look,
on?
look. Like when you talk about security in the African continent, it's almost like 80% America. You understand? America is providing almost 80% of security in the African continent. That is a big deal.
Mm, I don't know if
Yes,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
quick
Everybody.
No,
question,
no.
Kafiru. Let me ask just
Kifaru. No, 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 no.
let me
Because
step in
if you
for a minute.
Kifaru, you have
Does
to
it make
remember China have a lot of interest in
But China,
Africa
say
now.
China, I
But the
understand.
security you're talking about, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
America have bases in the
Say
in
America.
the horn area because even Joe Biden he's saying this. They are conducting bombings in Somalia.
Exactly.
Drone
That is
strikes.
Amazon and all these African Union defense things. This is America, Afridamus. It's America. China people that for business is a good thing. If we can have that relationship with America, that's got nothing to do with politics. I don't have a problem with that. Let's do business. But if they're trying to to take these people politically, that's a problem. And most of them don't realize because these politicians they're just there, they're competing among themselves. They're just competing among themselves. Look at this old man, Paul Biya. We never see him, but like American or African US Summit, he pops up. You understand? So these people, they're just there
Wait.
because
So, okay, I see why you are. Okay, I see where you're coming from. So you are pissed off that Paul Beer. We don't
yeah,
see Paul Beer
we
anywhere.
don't.
And now,
Yes,
look,
now you see him
Kifaru, from day
out there.
one, if you can go back and look, right? Even in the 80s, Thomas Sankara, when he was giving that pro-African speech, there's a video, right? Paul Beer,
Yeah,
Omar Bongo, and those other people they were sleeping. They didn't even want to hear what
yeah, he
he
has been
has to say.
sleeping for a long time. He has been sleeping for a long time.
hold on? Let me ask this one
And
question. Sorry to interrupt. Are you talking about the guy that was talking about why Africa was destroyed by communism or something else?
no,
Which guy?
America stopped communism in Africa because they thought it was going to make
Okay.
African better. All this Thomas
Okay.
Sankara, Panchis Lumumba, all those people were communists. All of them.
Right.
Because I thought that was the main priority that wrecked Africa. Now there was other problems, yes, but I'm saying
Yes.
that communism was the like Angola, Ethiopia, other places like that.
Yeah.
All of
Ethiopia
them.
did have
Yes.
communism under
Most
Mengistu.
of them were followers of
I
Karl
guess
Marx
you, yeah.
philosophy. Most of all those African revolutionaries, they followed
Some of them were
Karl
Marxists.
Marx. They were
Marxist.
Marxists, most of them. That's why they had
Mm,
so much affiliation with people like Fidel Castro, things like that.
right.
We're all Marxists. And so, to me, Afridamus, I've been telling you these things. We need to get into politics, young Africans. We need to replace these old people. Recently, we saw the president of South Sudan wetting himself in public. Why the,
what's his name? Kara.
I don't know that tall guy that all tall in that country anyway. The tall dark one. Yeah, he was sweating himself while he went. I don't know, an inauguration, whatever, in public, and he didn't even realize. These people are done. I think the young people need to get into politics, because I tell you, these politicians, these people we call politicians, they're just here to compete among themselves. They're fighting opposition. That's just what they do in their country.
So Kifaru, do you think Paul Biya would sign that document to get the money?
Well, if you can promise him he's going to be in power 50 more years, he's going to sign it, bro. You just need to sign it. I'll protect you. No one is going to take you out of power. He will sign it. Believe me. But
Paul Biya at least maintain this, your economy.
Look, see, we are doing far worse than what we should be doing.
True.
We are far worse than what we should be doing. He does not care. I don't even see him. We don't know him. He
lives in Switzerland, right?
Yeah, in a village. He owns a village by himself. Just
Switzerland.
The amount of money, just the amount of money he spends is able to maintain that village. Him by himself. The amount of money he spends in one hotel can maintain the whole of that village. You understand? So that's him. That's Omar Bongo, the other one, all of them. These people, they need to go. And if we don't try to replace them, we'll be saying the same things over and over and over and over again. That's why I told you, if some people back home are courageous enough, these people in America, they can just remain there, all of them. Like, let's just stop them and remain in America.
Yeah, but
think they're gonna go quietly.
Who they are throughout the continent, and all.
Now they wouldn't be able. The people you are naming, it would be hard to remove them. Omar Bongo was put there by the French.
I know.
Your president was put there by the French. These are backed by all of them. So that would be hard.
Yeah, I just wish, that's what I wish, but I know it's difficult because these people have no clue. They're clapping. I don't. It's hard. It's hard. They're so cheap and so clueless. Sometimes we see them with this, as you were speaking,
Kifaru,
this entourage.
Afridamus, can I please ask Kifaru a question?
Yeah, Kifaru, let's see. That's Deep Sleep, right? Go ahead, Deep Sleep.
Yeah.
Deep Sleep, what do you think about this whole thing? Go ahead.
Cameroon. I just think it's a waste of time. Like, it's a waste of time. Like, let's be honest. Biden was talking about sending 2-3 billion. Like, Africa's trade with China is like 300 billion.
Yeah.
He thinks Africans are going to stop trading with China for his $3 billion. He's smoking crack. He's
a total joke.
Or whatever it is. I don't know what drug they feeding him to keep him alive, but he's high on something, bro. That is not serious. But I was just wanting to ask you, Faro. I understand why almost all African leaders went. Because let's be honest, America is the empire of the world. And they have no problem attacking your country and destroying your country economically with sanctions. It's like you're being antagonistic towards. So if they invite you to a summit, just show up. It doesn't matter. You don't have to sign anything. You don't even have to agree
with them showing up. Show up and hear what they gotta say,
Just once in a while, they might say something you agree with, and you can take that with yourself. But just show up, clap your hands, smile, go back. Them showing up is not that big a deal. You have to be focused on what deals they signed while they were there.
Can I be honest?
If Cameroon is a small country, America could destroy Cameroon with one sanction if they want. They can destroy most African countries with just a few sanctions if they want to. So why are you going to address them by saying no to an invitation? Just go there, clap your hands, smile, act like you care about whatever this senile man is saying, and go back home. The end.
So you just say we are done. You're just trying to say.
No, look, Paul Biya. I think Kifaru might be mad that Paul Biya flew from his little Swiss village.
Yeah, it's from America. It's back to Switzerland.
Straight back to Switzerland.
From America back to Switzerland. That's what it is. No, it's not a joke. He's called the absentee president.
Afridamus, yo, when all the leaders were flying back to Africa, this guy
No, he
flies
flew
back to
back.
Europe.
No, he flew back to his village in Switzerland.
Yes. Then he's
Yeah,
going
I'm
to
saying
come.
when all the other
He's going to
African leaders
visit
are flying
Cameroon.
back to Africa, flying back to Europe, you
We
see his
said the
plane and the
president
other
of
planes.
Cameroon is
Yeah,
visiting the country. They say the
yeah.
president of Cameroon is visiting the country. He always visit his country.
Wait. So when he goes to Cameroon, they say the president of Cameroon is
Yes, he's
visiting.
visiting his country. He always visit Cameroon. He always visit the country.
Is he a Swiss citizen now?
He is French, Swiss, German, everything.
He
Maybe in
might as well
American, I
be.
don't know.
Wow, that's hey. You're right. Young people have to step in. I totally agree with you on that.
Exactly. And we cannot fight these people individually. What Abby said is actually correct. America want to embargo most African countries, they shut you down. Okay, that's true. No one is going to argue that. So it's for us to stick together and try to trade among ourselves. Try to
Yeah,
provide
but
our neighbors what we can eat. Even let's start with the basic. What we eat, let's start with that. Even among a country, Gambia has this. Let's even have some dignity among ourselves before we start looking outwardly of Africa to see what we can add, and we try to make it. We try to augment it gradually. We can't keep on depending on these people. If we depend on them,
But
they will
Kifaru,
destroy us.
at least you gotta give it to Nana Ado. He said
No,
he
they
gave
call
good
him
one.
the
He said
national
Africans. He
beggar.
said Africans. He said Africans need to stop begging.
But they say he's the one begging all the time.
How is he
But all the guy
begging?
does is beg too, Afridamus.
they
That guy
don't.
was
But
begging
let me.
Switzerland and Sweden to help him build a
He's a
chocolate
good, yeah.
factory in Ghana or something.
No, because Switzerland. He was saying that Switzerland, because he was sending the chocolate there, so they want to start manufacturing. Manufacturing it in Ghana. But again, you're right. He cannot
Afridamus,
ask
how
Switzerland to build it for him because that would be stupid. You can't ask Switzerland to build it for you when they need it to. Guys, if you're
Exactly.
watching, please hit the like button. There's so many 90 of you here. Please hit the like button.
That's why
And let me
Africanos,
read
maybe you
this.
don't
Let
know
me read this from
the
Ali Sunni before passes. Ali Sunni, thank you for the super chat. He said, imagine a whole president is a citizen of a nation that has nothing to do with him. Wahala.
yes.
No, I think Switzerland, if you notice, Switzerland, they don't have colonies, but I think technically in
They got.
paper
They got.
I think they own some of these African countries. Let me
They don't
explain
need
how. Because when the
Afridamus.
countries they play neutral, right? They play the neutral game. When the African leaders, when they steal the money, where do they take it to?
Switzerland.
Switzerland,
Switzerland.
right? Mobutu like bought like this whole villa and paid so much money to stop a uh, railroad that went goes close by his villa in Switzerland. When he died, all that money he stole, those billions, who, do you think Switzerland really returned that? No, they didn't.
They don't. The same with Abacha.
Hold on,
Sani
let me
Abacha.
play the thank you for, Ali Sunni here. Let me thank him properly. Thank you very much for the super chat. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Abacha, the same. There's so much of Abacha's money that has been, I don't know, been shared
So
among the Swiss
yeah,
people.
so technically, Switzerland don't have to have the colonies. They just have to make themselves available. Look at it.
Yeah.
Paul Biya. Paul Biya wants his own village in Switzerland. How did he get the village? He got like, how do you leave? I mean, come on. Paul Biya could have went and at least built his village in Cameroon and stay there.
Say, look, this is the thing. Afridamus. The irony is he's not got paved road to his village. That's the irony. Going to Vomeka is some dusty road. When it's rainy season, you can't even go there to some parts. I don't understand how this.
So
He's
instead,
like a brain dead man.
he bought a new Vomeka in Switzerland.
He uses helicopter from his capital city to his village. He does not care about what people, how you get to his village. His people, like, they suffer, like there's poverty, no accessibility to road, because he's from the south. It's like heavy jungle. It's like green jungle, all the timber. So it's just
It's a
no.
disgrace. Let's allow Solomon Eden also to come in. Solomon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Afridamus.
Hey, Solomon, what do you think about Biden, his statements, about this Africa summit bringing in Africans and offering 55 billion, which is a drop in the bucket compared to what China is doing in Africa. So, like, what do you think about the whole thing? And if there's anything that stood out for you?
Well, I think that what stood out for me is the same thing that you said about what you was talking about, technology. Like, I feel like as far as this 5G network, like I think a while back, like they found in the African Union, like there was some spy gear that China put everywhere,
Right,
and
in the building.
these tech companies are using it to gather data, and I guess they're using these same police stations that is being built in Africa to use to do counterintelligence on USA. So I guess they're getting scared of that now. So they said, no, we're not going to allow you to do that. Stop building these towers. Instead, build these US towers and get in debt so that we can spy on you. I'm thinking, well, this 55 billion seems more like a bribe than investment, to be honest.
But do you think the African nation, most of them will go for this? I mean, they're getting so much money from China, like they're not gonna want to hear America try to lecture to them about this LGBTQ stuff. They don't care about that.
It's getting in there, and let me bring something up. They don't need sanctions. They're infecting Africa with this feminism and LGBT. They don't need it, because look at the situation in Niger. The birth rate went down because they sent girl schools there. Now there's nothing wrong with that, but they do things like that. So they don't
they say we are empowering the women.
Exactly. They're infecting them with their ideology. No offense to whatever, but
no, it shouldn't. I mean, the truth is the truth. Here, let me read what Visionary of Love said. She said, Afridamus, we don't owe them. We didn't invite or ask them to come or bring anything. They come by themselves. I guess he's talking about the African leaders. Visionary of Love is from Switzerland, saying, no, we didn't invite them. They come on their own. But Visionary of Love, how did he buy this village? How did he own this village?
This is the thing. Yeah, this is the thing, Afridamus. When Africans, like mostly Cameroonians, they go to riot, the Swiss will send your police to chase these people away. It's happened so many times. Like sometimes the Cameroonians in Europe, they will come from France, Italy, everywhere, and they will march to that village, and the Swiss government will deploy military, and they will like beat these people, spray them with gas cannon. It's happened so many times.
I think the Switzerland is very open and welcoming to the African, dictators for some reason. They if they want the big house, guess what? Switzerland got the place for them.
The Swiss banking system wouldn't exist if every criminal on earth wasn't trying to hide money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And unfortunately, some of those criminals tend to be African dictators too. So.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The 15 billion that's been offered to them in 2019, Africans in the diaspora sent 49 billion as remittance. Maybe it's even more than that. You understand?
Right.
So the amount of money that Africans in the diaspora are sending to the continent is bigger than what any other nation is providing for Africa. But still, yet these people don't understand. That's my problem. So that's why.
So Kifaru, what do you think the solution is? Since we have, these presidents, because even like Gambia, our former president, same thing. He bought him a house in Maryland, Virginia. And this other president too here, we heard he's got a house, somewhere in Seattle. So all of them, they just buy homes in the West.
Yeah.
They so now you saying young people should get in politics with
Yeah.
the 21st century. What do you think the solution is? Not just to enter politics, but you have to also know what you are, definitely, coming across, because it's not just for the
Exactly.
love of it, but like what would you say would be the solution?
Yeah. To Afridamus, the solution is, we need to get engaged. It's gonna take a long time, because I believe good people make good policies. If you are a good person and the West sees that your people are with you, even if you are against them, there's little they can do. You understand? We need politicians that are loved by the people and who actually are there for your people. And it's only us, the youth, we can engage. Start gradually. Young people, rally people. That's why I brought this idea of a Pan-African alliance. You understand? Working as a conglomerate or a coalition, but in your own country. Try to make yourself self-sufficient from the West. Because actually, everyone says we don't need them. They're talking about 4G internet. We have that. They're talking about this. We already have that. So
5G.
why are they 5G? Roads, we can build our own roads. So why are
Right.
they coming?
Yeah, I mean, the roads are getting built. This is the deals that has been put in place with the
Yeah.
Chinese,
So
because the US,
exactly.
they've been engaging Africa for a while. They never entered the building game. But go ahead.
Afridamus, you
Yeah.
know what the problem is? In
Yeah.
the past, before China came into the scene, like Africa was solely like the West could just say, "Oh, we're building you X, so do X, Y, Z for us," and Africa would have to do it because there was no other like alternative. But now
Right.
that China is around, look at most of these African countries, or even their 4G, even the new 5G that they're trying to install. All of it comes from China. Let's be honest. So now there's an alternative, which is not just even like, for the most part, it's even better or cheaper. So now, like the old tactics of, oh, we're giving you like these crumpets, it's no longer working. And I don't think they have like any other new solution. So they just, like all Biden was doing, like if this was 30, 40 years ago, this would probably work. But
Yeah,
now,
it's like
in the
rinse
modern day,
repeat.
it's irrelevant.
Yes, and
Yeah, it's
good.
irrelevant.
Yeah, America,
See what goes on
if
there.
they're going to lose, their grip on Africa, they're going to do something, because
Well,
they're
they
an
are losing
expansionist
it.
state. But
Hold on.
let's be aware that let's know how to stop them, because these people are crazy. The West don't want to lose grip of Africa. They're not.
They
They're
rather
not.
Here,
burn it
They're not.
down.
hold on,
Just,
guys. 1 second. Let me allow that Raven to say something quick, so I can play Dr. Arikana's short video here. That Raven, what do you think about Joe Biden, administration calling up this Africa summit and trying to offer, pledge 55 billion to quote unquote Africa? Go ahead, that Raven. Are you there? That Raven, we can't hear you. All right, I can't.
Me.
Okay, we can hear you now. Go ahead, that Raven.
From the contents of the speech, Joe Biden said, even though he was reading from a teleprompter, it seemed like they were watching, paying attention to a lot of Pan-Africanist babble.
Yes, yes, yes. They wrote Pan Africanist talking points. I was waiting if somebody picked up on that. Go ahead, go ahead.
So they were paying a lot of attention to a lot of Pan-Africanists. They, maybe we can use these what Pan-Africans, Black Americans to come in and all that stuff. Not that we are not aware of it. Yeah, this position, this was one of the first positions I argued when I went to that Bijunoir's channel. That crazy lady,
Wakandan Queen.
When I went to, she killed me for it. Oh, China is trying to colonize you. This is what China are doing, is providing an alternative. Now America will come rushing in with a lot of money and all that stuff. And I wonder if China will still play ball. But all I know is that money is going to be used. When they go to Africa, they will realize that the infrastructure necessary to actually make a profit in Africa is not there. So they will have to start building the infrastructure. So they will spend a lot of money before they make a profit out of Africa. Are they willing to go that far as much as China are willing to go that far? Are they willing to put
Yes.
that much first as much as China? You understand? So the United States is obviously this was a reaction. It was a reactionary kind of thing. No, don't be fooled about it. This is all in response to China. If China didn't do it, they would have never been interested at all. And all that. So don't be
Doc,
fooled. Of course, they
Doc
use it
Raven,
on.
they would have done it anyway because
Look,
if there's money there, America will go to it. Sorry to interrupt.
man,
No,
guys, guys,
America would have preferred the
We will
deal
go
where they
to
were
it.
having
Trust
it
me.
cheaper. No, hold on. They would have preferred the deal where they were having it cheaper, extracting resources. But with China coming in, trying to exploit the demographic dividend, which to create a new market, this now spurred them to do that. But they would have
this is
preferred the
true.
previous deal they had.
Because they thought they had it in their hand. Let's allow Madalog to go ahead. Madalog, go ahead.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Hey, no problem. Madalog, what do you think about Joe Biden? This attempt to quote unquote they pledging 55 billion to Africa, and is there anything that stood out to you in his speech? Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe that we must not trust Joe Biden and the Americans, neither China.
Yeah,
We must invest in ourselves. We
right.
must do trade deals among ourselves.
Exactly.
Because Africa's big. We don't need America and China. For what?
We definitely have to open the Africa free trade, not just in paper, but now with the internet, more and more Africans are becoming aware of each other. That would be the way to keep that money circulating in Africa. That's just how it is. But guys, hang tight real quick. Let me play this, and I want to get you guys' take on this. All right, Dr. Arikana, gave her 2 cents on this.
For Africans, I repeated it. I find agenda. There has never been that the United
States is a real priority for America. It's going to be a. Hi, I'm Steve Clemens, and I have a question. Can President Biden convince African leaders that America is a better partner than China? Let's get to the bottom line. This week, the White House hosts leaders from 49 African countries to try and convince them that their continent is a real priority for America. It's going to be a hard sell, since many Africans feel that Washington has treated them with a lot of benign neglect, more of a problem than an opportunity. A place that's full of precious minerals that we want, like lithium and cobalt, which America needs for its electric cars, but also a place loaded with security concerns and humanitarian crises and corruption. Meanwhile, Russia's kind of zoomed to the top as Africa's #1 weapons dealer, and China's trade with African countries has reached a record $261 billion last year. That's about 5 times more than the U.S. An African youth survey by...
Did you guys see that? China have invested 5 times the amount of money the U.S. is offering. So guys, let's be real. Do you guys think Africa is going to be listening to the U.S.? I doubt it, but here we go.
Ichikovitz Family Foundation found that 77% of youth across the continent identified China as the most important nation for Africa's future, not the United States. Plus, China deals with whatever government is in place, no questions asked, while the U.S. cherry picks its allies and offers lectures about democracy. So can the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit here in Washington, D.C. turn things around? And what can America offer that Africa really wants? Today, we're talking with Arikana Chihombori Kwao, the former ambassador of the African Union to the United States. She's also the founder of the Africa Diaspora Development Initiative, which aims to link Africans abroad back to the continent. Ambassador, it's such a pleasure to talk with you today. This big summit is going on right now in Washington, D.C. You're in Zimbabwe. I guess I want to start by asking you, what do...
Guys, look at her dress, how beautiful it is. So people that say Africans don't have their own style, you are sleeping. Look at how beautifully and well-dressed Dr. Arikana is. Be proud of being African, people. Be proud of it.
The leaders of Africa and President Biden have to get right after this week that you think is essential?
Thank you for having me. This is a very important summit. It's a conversation between the continent and the United States, a conversation that is desperately needed, particularly at this time in our history and in our life. The United States, let me start by saying, it still remains the most preferred trading partner for the African nations. However, like I used to tell the State Department and any engagements that we've had with the United States, I felt during my tenure that the United States was slowly losing ground, and they were risking losing their position as Africa's preferred trading partner. So this is a very important meeting that I hope that if the United States, like I used to tell my colleagues, I felt that the United States, if this was a basketball game, the United States needed to call for timeout. For US needed to realize that this is a new game and it required new rules of engagement. Therefore, a need for the United States to re-strategize. I'm hoping that for a change, this meeting, the United States can begin to realize it's no longer business as usual. It's no longer a case of the United States saying, we make policy and we tell the Africans. That has got to change. It is a recipe for disaster. It is a recipe for the United States seeing itself losing its place as Africa's preferred trading partner. That's what makes this meeting very important. And I'm hoping that the US can call for timeout and understand that engaging Africa at this time, it is a new game that is calling for new rules of engagement. And therefore, it is time to re-strategize and treat the Africans fairly, treat the Africans respectfully, and treat the Africans as equal partners.
You know, Ambassador, I think one.
All right, guys, what do you think about what Dr. Arikana just said here?
You have to move it to the end because that's when she got really fired up. He wasn't prepared for what she was going to say. But anyway.
Yeah, okay, hold on. Which part?
One of the things that I'm trying to be sensitive to.
Oh, you've seen this? Hold on.
Is that we often over in the United States, as you know, and you were the ambassador of the African Union, tend to talk about a continent as opposed to individual countries and nations, which there are 54. There are 49 heads of state here in Washington this week. And are we making a mistake? Is our ignorance on our side, from your impression of our ignorance, you know, amplified by us talking about Africa so much as opposed to talking about Rwanda, Zimbabwe, Ghana? Should we be, is our illiteracy in this level so obvious that it's a real problem? And do these kinds of summits that bring everyone together do a disservice to that kind of getting to know each country more distinctly?
I think for the United States, and I'll repeat it, and I used to repeat it all the time during my tenure, what really is behind the failure of effective engagement with Africa is the disrespect of the Africans. That's where the problem begins. If we cannot accept, if the United States cannot accept Africans as equal partners, if the United States, for example, let's look at this particular meeting, this particular summit, there was no defined agenda. There has never been defined agendas whenever they meet with African countries as individual countries. It's always the United States setting the agenda, the United States setting the policies, and the United States telling the Africans about the policies. That is no way to have any meaningful engagement. If you take, for example, the fourth pocket meeting that was held between China and the African heads of state, way in advance, the issues were clearly defined. The agenda was going to focus on trade. It was going to focus on aid. It was going to focus on investments. The African heads of states were engaged in the discussion, in the planning. The outcomes were clearly defined with a way forward in terms of follow-up. It was a fruitful meeting that addressed the issues that needed to be addressed between not only African countries individually with China, but also Africans collectively with China. There is no published agenda. There are no issues that have been presented to the African heads of states. Africans have not been asked to engage in terms of creating the agenda and making sure that when the African heads of states come to Washington, the outcomes, the issues to be discussed are going to be meaningful outcomes with follow-up and deliverables that are going to be beneficial to both.
Guys, she is absolutely 100% correct. She knows this from working within. Okay, I've done video on her Wakanda thing, where the Wakanda City thing, I had my own criticism of that, but that doesn't mean she is not correct in her assessment of this. Because bringing Africans in, it's a matter of, okay, we're going to bring these people in and tell them exactly how it's supposed to be done. So she is spot on. China deals with Africans as individual, but also as a group. So you can push your individual interest and also group interest, where people would speak with each other in groups. Places like Ethiopia, they are leaning more and more to China. You look at the war, the Tigray war they have in Ethiopia. And also they are trying to, use this propaganda, against Ethiopia. This is why, if you look at it, Ethiopians, many have rose up against the fake media. They say they're against fake media because what is being promoted. And also, the Ethiopian prime minister is smart. He refused to allow this quote unquote Red Cross to go deep into these regions. They're claiming they are helping. You have to remember the Horn in that region, Ethiopia, they've been dealing with these situations for a long time. So they are also awake to this fact that these people, they are coming in as Red Cross or people that are providing aid, but are they really, is that what they're there for? It seems like when they come in, the wars keep escalating. So he's like, no, I'm not letting these people in. They are not coming in. You remember when I talked about Al Shabaab here also? In the Al Shabaab territory that they held, they too do not let this quote unquote Red Cross in. So,
That's a difference.
you cannot blame, Africans for not trusting, these
It seems
people.
that it seems their allies keep changing all the time because
It has, yeah, it's based on their interests.
yeah, if you notice, the closest allies to them this time around is Niger, Somalia, Djibouti, all these other countries.
Because that's where they have military bases.
Military bases. So it's quite interesting that I think how they use these smaller countries to undermine bigger countries.
Yep. Let's hear this one.
It remains a one-sided conversation with the United States telling the Africans the agendas and the policies. The Africans are not on the table to discuss issues pertaining to us, wherein lies the problem. And the reason that continues to be the case, what underscores that is the disrespect for Africans. I repeated it, I complained about it repeatedly. It is a serious problem. The United States must understand that Africans are not going to take it anymore. If you don't treat the Africans fairly, United States is going to see itself slowly losing ground to China, to Russia, to all other nations, because without respecting the Africans, without treating the Africans as equal, without understanding that exploitation and abuse of Africa simply cannot continue. This meeting, this summit, is going to be yet another gathering with no outcomes, no deliverables until the next summit. I'm sorry, but the disrespect of the Africans is at the bottom of it all. Agenda for this meeting should have been set out in advance. Africans should have been involved. Without the involvement of the Africans in these discussions, this is a useless. I'm sorry, but that is a fact.
No, I am very grateful.
She's absolutely correct. How is it a summit if the Africans,
Afridamus, when you see Paul Biya in a meeting, no, it's useless. If you see someone like
wait. So you saying, if Paul Biya show up, it means the meeting is useless.
Yeah, no, it's useless. Yes, they have not set up any agenda. They're just there to represent and have a good time, eat, drink some champagne, and go back to Switzerland. And it's exactly what she's saying. These people are just there for show. That's what I was trying to say. They don't have a clue. You understand? They don't have a clue. They're just there to represent. It's like a thing to them. Let's just go. They have it on the agenda that this day we need to go to America for a summit. It's just like that. They don't. Maybe when they go there, they give them the agenda on the table. They say, okay, this is what we're talking about. They're just there to represent. It's just America showing the world that we control everything.
But at least the like what she's saying is true. Africa has the option, now. Before it was different because now there is another player on the block. I'm not saying China is a friend or a perfect situation, but China is an option.
Yeah, but you must understand that in China, he wants our land.
I don't like
the Americans, they only want our resources.
So hold on, one at a time. Go ahead.
Yeah, I say I don't like France, I don't like China, I don't like America. We can do it as Africans. America has got a good grip on Africa. They've got 29 military bases all over Africa. 29. That's not a small thing. They know what they're doing. These are expansionists. And they want it to remain like that forever. That's what I'm saying.
Listen, man, they are both evil, the Americans and China.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean,
you must not trust them anyway. Both.
Yeah, right. But
evil. They
but
only want
now,
our land and our resources.
yeah. But here's the thing. You know, one is trying to play a pimp game, right? To try to act like it's in our best interest. This other one is straight up business. I prefer straight up business. Don't come trying to BS me, trying to tell me about your moral truth or whatsoever. I'm not interested in that. I just want to do business. Here's the resources. This is how much I want for it. Boom, we sign it. Or if it's an infrastructure bill, this is the area I want you to build. This is what is attached to it. This is how the business needs to be done. But all that extra stuff, I think Africans need to get out of that business, and we got on our end, we need to find serious business politicians who have, the country at heart. That's just the truth. Yeah, the people
I got a
that
question.
we need to
Wait, I got a
put
question.
them.
Do you see Turkey as a friend towards our Africans?
Turkey,
Yeah, Turkey is better.
Turkey, Turkey is doing,
Indonesia.
I think Turkey is engaged in a lot of trade, especially with even Gambia.
Yes.
A lot of Gambians are, go and buy building materials from Turkey. There's a lot of trade happening.
Yeah, Turkey is better.
Turkey, is also helping, in this game. They are feeling that vacuum of trade.
Yes.
So there's a lot of trade happening.
Without interest. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of trade happening with Turkey too. You're
And
right.
Indonesia.
Yes.
We don't need America.
Because that's not a dependent thing. With Turkey is about, with trading, and it's cheaper too.
Yeah, but also they will help you with weapons, army. They will help you with building bridges, We don't need China because China, they ask too much interest,
Yeah.
when they're done. And Americans, they only want the resources. They want to kick Russia. You know that, how do you call it? That in Russia, that how do you call it?
Okay, guys.
Okay,
another thing here before I forget. Like China is not the number one investor in Africa. China is number 3. The second biggest investor is the African Development Bank. So the African Development, the African Development Bank, like a lot of developments you see around Africa.
Number
A lot
one.
of it's a bank called I think Botep, something like that. It's a bank that is number 1. Some bank. Again, the white man wins again. It's a white people's bank. Just FYI. But here we go.
For your candor, and it sounds to be, I think there was a lot of criticism of the last summit like this under President Obama, that there was like no follow through. And, it's one of the big questions I'm asking is, how do you make a big bang summit where everyone comes over? It's like checking off the box and say, okay, we've done Africa. Now we can move on to other things. How do you make that something that's a more sustainable and a more continuous engagement of the United States with Africa? And what I'm hearing from you is frankly, a lot of disappointment and, a lot of pessimism about what may come out of this summit.
Well, the point of the matter is already, nothing is going to come out of it because it is a one-sided conversation.
Right.
Where is the agenda? The agenda should have been published way in advance. The African leaders should have been given an opportunity to also state their position so they can come up with an African position that can then be discussed alongside the American position. So the fact that it is a one-sided conversation, that is yet going to be another useless meeting with no outcomes. But again, I'm going to keep emphasizing the reason this is happening is because there is a disrespect for the Africans. There is a general feeling that we don't need to hear from the Africans. Their opinions do not matter. That wherein lies the problem. Why were the Africans not consulted? Why were the Africans not part of an agenda? Why was there not even an agenda like what happened during the FOCAC meeting with China? Those are some basic issues. No head of state. President Biden would not pick up and go to meet with any other leader in the world without an agenda. That simply doesn't happen.
Right.
So what makes the US think that they can engage African leaders without an agenda? Come to Washington, let me tell you what I want to do for you. Come to Washington, let me tell you what you need to do in your country.
What do you guys think about what Dr. Arikana is saying here, guys?
It's powerful. It's powerful, man. It's exactly what is happening. It's disrespect. That's why the US is just trying to show the world we control Africa. They don't need an agenda. And these people are okay with it. These old people who call themselves leaders, whatever. They don't care. Because if these people really cared about your nation, really cared about Africa, they will ask this basic question this woman is asking. What is the agenda for this meeting? But no, you're going for a meeting without an agenda,
Afridamus.
and you're going to that meeting as a president and head of government. I don't get it.
She's on point. She is dead on
100%.
point. Yeah, Dr. Arcana is speaking nothing but facts here.
So
Let's hear more.
So why do you think the other leaders don't think like her? That's the problem.
Well, they don't.
Because they are sellouts.
Yeah,
They are puppets.
Yes, thank you.
Kifaru, can I
100%.
can I
just like our
answer this?
president here.
the what?
Just like our president here.
Right.
The only difference is they're just old black men with an ego the size of the sun who don't know what's going on.
Hey, Maryland, what do you think about?
Afridamus,
Have you
can I just
noticed what they did here? They brought the General Lloyd, Austin, because every time they're dealing with Africans, they want to bring a black face. So, like, just like they deal with Black America, are you surprised to see the similarities, the technique, the
No,
tactics they use?
it's so funny. It's like Hillary Clinton with the
No,
hot
the
sauce.
hot sauce. Yeah.
And I laugh at this. I'm like saying, if I'm sorry if you guys fall for this, y'all God help Africa if y'all fall for this because it's just horrible. The fact that they're really bringing in a general like him in there, not to say anything bad, but it speaks volumes. I
Well,
don't understand what's going on.
yeah,
Bro,
it's ridiculous.
we need to elect a good leader. Because if you look at history in Africa, every good leader was killed. Thomas Sankara.
They're not gonna.
You,
Those old
you
men
have
are
many
not
good
gonna walk
leaders.
away. You're gonna have to force them to go away.
Look, don't forget, somebody like Thomas Sankara came
He
to
was a hero.
power through a coup. So a lot of the leaders, the revolutionaries, they have to do a coup. Like a Thomas
Yeah,
Sankara type,
yeah.
he cannot win an election.
He
They're
still
not
won.
gonna let it happen
No, but
because they already
how about Patrick
because
from Congo?
who?
Patrice. They
But look
killed
at
him.
what they did to him, though.
That was a hold on 1 second. And as
Look
you
at what
know,
they did to him.
that's because he didn't pay the army. That's why. And the
No,
CIA.
No,
no,
man, no,
Yeah.
man.
no. Look, you have to
Okay,
remember
explain to me.
that's a different.
I apologize for that because I don't.
Okay,
I'm
Patrice
just hearing what I
Lumumba.
heard.
Here's the thing. Here's what happened when he was first elected.
Right.
So at the time, the Belgian monarchy, because remember King Leopold
It was
was the
the Congo
one.
was his property.
He was the only European king as an individual who owned a colony. These other colonies are owned by countries, but this was his own colony.
His personal property.
So they exposed King Leopold, for his atrocities in the Congo. You see, so King Leopold, shortly before First World War, his story was very popular in Europe. How he was, using slave labor in the Congo. He got exposed. He was supposed to get prosecuted. Then the First World War came. They totally forgot about the Congolese story of the 10 million Congolese that counting that he killed, right?
Yeah.
So the Belgian government steps in and say, all right, we are taking the colony from King Leopold. So you would think they would be like, all right, this is illegal for this person to go and steal this country. No, they took over.
And they got what they wanted.
They took over and they continued the same policy.
Exactly.
Belgium continued to benefit from the Congo. That's what continued on. Then up to the 60s, where Lumumba became the first prime minister. But they had a divide and conquer because Congo is not what they had. A separatist country called Kitanga.
Right.
Kitanga was its own country. So they had a general, Kitanga, the person running Kitanga, that person, they hated Lumumba. So you have the CIA. So Lumumba went to Belgium with a couple of other government officials. They were speaking in front of the King of Belgium, but they knew who Lumumba was. They didn't want Lumumba to speak, but Lumumba prepared his speech already. When they were there in the meeting, they didn't even give him a chance. He got up and spoke, and he spoke through to the King of Belgium. He said,
Yeah, he
he
was a big
spoke
man.
about,
He was a big
he
man.
said, we are tired of you exploiting us. You are enslaving our people. You've committed atrocities. You know, he just named bam, 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 all the atrocities. So the King of Belgium, the monarch, they felt insulted. They felt insulted. They said,
They know it was true.
how dare his black ass, you know, speak to the king like that?
Exactly.
You see? So Lumumba, when he came to the United States, the president refused to see him. They just treated him just like an ordinary person. Lumumba was hanging out with some of those black, you know, Panthers, the black freedom fighter people
That's
in New
why.
York. Those were the people, as a prime minister, mind you, when he came, the US, they snubbed, they did not respect Africans. So Lumumba, it was this Nation of Islam people, these Black Panther people, who went to go welcome him. Those were the people he was hanging out with when he came to America. So you know, like that confirmed his position more. So,
Yeah, in the
and
U.S.
when he went back,
like
you
that.
know, the things he was saying, they were like, hey, we got to take this guy out. This guy has to die.
Yep.
You know, go read about him. Even the US president at the time, his excuse was he didn't want to meet Lumumba because Lumumba is short tempered. He's
Yeah,
short
that's
tempered and rude. That's what they said.
J.
They
Edgar
said he
Hoover
was
had the
short tempered
problem.
and rude.
J. Edgar Hoover was like, and I bet he was the first one to say it because he's always saying any threat to America, we gotta eliminate it. And
Yeah,
then
you can go read the classified
yeah, I'll
information.
look at it.
What they said about Lumumba, he was called nigger and everything in it.
Okay,
You
I can
can
see
go
why.
read it. The communication, he was called a nigger,
I
all
thought it
types
was
of
an
names.
internal problem, Afridamus.
Yeah, no,
I didn't
well,
think it was.
there was internal problem, but it was also pushed
Yeah,
hard because you
right.
know they made him a fugitive in his country. Think
Yeah,
about it. He could
I,
not escape.
I
There
think
was nobody to save him.
Right.
They killed him.
yeah, I think like most African, these freedom fighters, the ones in just post-independent Africa, I've been studying them, trying to say why did they fail? Why did they fail? You can't be a freedom fighter and you have an allegiance with any Western country. They're not your friends. That's what they were thinking. They were thinking maybe America or France or this other country may help me. That's why they were thinking if they could have an alliance that could protect them inside Africa, they could have gone far. But they did not. They were just individual people. And you can't work like that. You must have
No,
a
but
friend or
they were
somewhere.
not well connected to the information. Again, you have to remember
It
some of
is
the territories,
exactly.
you know, some of the territories, right? Okay, when Lumumba was doing his thing, Lumumba could not escape and go to Cameroon at the time because the French run Cameroon and the English on another side, right?
They still were running portions of Africa
Yeah,
still.
so he can't
Yes.
go there. He cannot go to uh the, you know, the other Congo Brazzaville,
Hmm.
you know. So what these people do, they captured him. When they captured him, the
Exactly.
CIA and the Belgian coordination, they handed him over to the
Exactly.
Kitangans, who hated him so much.
There you go.
You know, Mobutu,
Yeah.
you know, mind you, Mobutu was friends with Lumumba
But
too.
Mobutu
he
is
turned
black
on him.
Frenchman. He's just a
The
black
thing is,
Frenchman.
the problem with Africa that has been is the separation of the elite and the mass populace. Like, with the mass populace wouldn't know what was happening in the country, or wouldn't know the wider geopolitic political implications of what's happening. So when you have that separation, the people don't know what's happening. They could be they could be sent into a fervor to be against the president. You understand? Like Kwame Nkrumah, how the Ghanaians were against him. And many of these leaders, the people never saw. If you look at the situation with Mali, the people are with the military. The people are with the military. So the United States can't do nothing about that. So the people. But when you have the when you have the separation between what it says here, Kifaru, right? Yeah. To counter these things, because they will always have control and they will always have these screws and nudges within our politicians. There's many ways to bribe them through death, money, or even killing of their loved ones or something like that, or even tanking the whole economy. So there's many ways to move them. But sometimes it's important to have the people back you up. And what it means here is there must be a wider push to educate the African people on wider geopolitics. Shows like this, as I tell you, these people will go build the internet for us. Now it's a shame that Cisco will be the one of the bigger networking provider companies in Africa. Hopefully Huawei can participate and we could have many other companies, but American companies dominate in computer networking and all kinds of data centers. That is they still have some access, but they are still building platforms for means of information sharing. Sharing which could allow for us to educate ourselves on geopolitics and make African people study something they would never have had in school, they would never have had in the newspapers, they will never have. People will now be sharing top secret information, and that could completely change the political mood in Africa. So we need to focus on the people.
Yeah, in Africa, they are busy teaching you about, David Livingstone and the white man who discovered the Congo River.
Everything is just messed up over there. Everything is just messed up. We need a complete reset.
Well, that's what we're doing here.
We must start. We must start. We can't just complaining about these people. To me, as far as I'm concerned, there are very few African presidents. Very few of them. Most of these people are just opportunists. They're just there to fight opposition. That's what they do best. To fight the opposition and put them in jail.
Can I just ask you something real quick? So, so after you guys get rid of these leaders, will it be a situation, a Saddam Hussein situation, like when they got rid of him? Now he should go. They should go. I'm not saying this. Will it be a situation where there'll be chaos? Like basically, all groups will just be going at each other, similar to what's happened in Iraq, and then we have an ISIS situation.
Why should there be chaos? Why?
I'm not saying there shouldn't be chaos, but I'm saying will certain things happen if that's moved? That's what I'm saying.
We're not just removing the president. If you ask me, for example,
can I answer this question? Kifaru, can I answer this question?
Yeah.
What caused the chaos in Iraq is not that Saddam Hussein was taken out. It's the fact that the Americans were there, bro. Like, what do you think is going to happen to a country when
they occupied the place?
What do you think is going to happen in a country when you destroy literally all of their infrastructure, all of their power grids, all of everything? Like in the process of taking Saddam down, you pretty much destroyed the whole country and all of its infrastructure.
Right.
So of course, in that situation, bandits are going to rise up. Tribalism is going to rise up. Like tribalism is going to be in the forefront. So it's not the fact that one single leader was taken out that caused all the chaos. It's that the whole country was pretty much burned to the ground.
There's many factors.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's hear this real quick. Hold on. Let's hear this real quick. Hold that thought for a second.
That game is an old game.
Right.
It's not going to work anymore. To be honest with you, if I'm to speak the truth, I hope a lot of heads of states don't come, because it is an insult. It is an abuse of the African leaders. It's a disrespect of the African leaders. Where is the agenda? Please respect the African leaders. Do unto them what you would want done unto you. So it's really as simple as.
Let me ask you a question. You mentioned China and how China approaches this. I'm interested in what China gets so right. But is there a blind spot there? Are there problems in the China-Africa relationship from your perspective?
Let me just hit the nail in the head and deal with the 10,000-pound gorilla in the room.
Yeah.
Racism as well plays a very important part. The disrespect of the Africans also goes back to a lot of the people who work in the US government. Not all of them, but there's a significant of them who automatically assume that Africans do not know what they're doing. Africans need help. Africans need to be told what to do. And racism is also at the bottom of it all. We need to address the individuals who are going to be visiting Africa, engaging Africa. They must understand that Africans are equal to them. But when one goes to Africa with a sense of superiority, we realize the problem, because you're not going to engage those leaders who are going to come to the table as equals. You go in feeling superior, you come back feeling superior. That is not an issue with the Chinese. The Chinese are coming in. The Chinese, yes, if you don't negotiate with them and they win the game, then that's your fault. But they don't come in feeling superior. They understand that Africa has something they need. So they will come to the Africans. They will come and make sure that they let the Africans know that you matter to us, that our relationship with you does matter, that you don't get that feeling with the United States. You get the feeling that there's this sense of superiority, that you Africans, you ought to be glad that we are engaging you. You ought to be glad that we're inviting you to come to Washington. That sense of superiority, it has to change. Whether it calls for the United States to retrain their people as they engage Africa, but it is that which really goes to the bottom of why the engagements are not going to be as effective. They must take a page out of what Africa is doing. Let me say this. Chinese people didn't used to be that way, but they quickly changed their strategy. When they realized that the game they were playing was not going to work in Africa, they changed their strategy. And that's why, like I said it during my tenure, I'll continue to say it again. If this was a basketball game, the United States need to call for timeout. This is a new game, and it requires new rules of engagement.
All right. The racism part, guys. What do you guys think about her highlighting racism? Do you guys think racism plays a part in the United States' attitude to dealing with Africa?
No.
Well,
I mean, maybe,
everyone
but
has
the US feels
To an individual level.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, like I said, right? Africa personally, I don't care about what they feel or for me it's business. You're bringing something to the table. I have something you want. We negotiate, right? Maybe obviously they are going to have that tendency. So what do you guys think about? Do you think the racism part should be highlighted?
It does.
Okay.
It does. You know why? Because they think, oh, look at these poor Africans. They can't do this. They can't think. It's like what was the word? What was that thing George Bush said? Lease something about expectations or something.
He said, which phrase?
Something about I don't remember, but had something to do. These people think that you Africans are these liberals, these people in government. They think they're pathetic. They don't know nothing. That's why their country is this. But they don't
But
realize that there's
that should
bigger
be a weakness
factors
to
to it.
make an
There's not.
assumption. That should be a weakness to
Yeah.
make an assumption that somebody is lower level and all that stuff. Yes,
Right. That's don't you think that's like your own
Exactly.
individual
That's a
feelings?
common thing.
Your
I
own
think that,
individual
guys,
feeling?
we can't argue that there's disrespect for the African
Oh
people
yes.
all over.
Oh yeah.
We
This
can't
is
start
true.
that argument.
And that's
Oh, yeah.
because of the poverty. Yeah,
Yeah.
but she's correct. So, but I want to
Don't assume
hear
because a
what you
poor
guys
person
think.
is just sitting there. Yeah. Don't assume a
Rashid,
poor person.
what do you think, Rashid? Rashid,
Hello,
can you hear me?
hello, Afridamus. Good afternoon.
Hello, welcome to the show, Rashid.
Thank you, sir. And I also say hello to the people in the chat and the people in the also in the panel. Yeah, I think that the African leaders, they haven't before they come to Washington, they're supposed to sit down and discuss first and bring an agenda to what they want from America. That's number one. They haven't done that. They came individually to America. So the America
Yeah,
already,
well, they tried to get people together, but Paul Biya said it's not time for him to visit Cameroon yet. He said he can leave the Swiss village. So
That's you, Jude. That's you, Jude. How can you not get rid of that guy?
So
Jude?
what I was thinking is that the Africa has raw material, right? Africa
Right.
has raw material, the uranium, the gas, the oil, everything you can name it. We have it in Africa. So the African leaders, they're supposed to sit down and discuss first and bring their own agenda, how they face the world, how they face China, how they face America, how they face, But if a country say Ukraine and Africa, Yugoslavia and Africa, and call them like this woman was saying, this is disrespectful for African leaders, and they just run and sit down with in front of them without any plan, without any agenda. I mean, look, America has many things to offer. America has technology and all this. We need that in Africa. We need the technology, ITs and so on. That's the new era of the world. We need that from the United States. So
You're not suspicious of them using, the technology is gonna come with a huge price.
It will come. It will come because America
But
is
with a big price to pay, Africa might paying a huge price, meaning giving away control.
The fact
Yes. You remember
there's-
Afridamus? You remember during Obama came to Africa?
Right.
He brought to tell African you have to accept LGBT. And LGBT is not African thing. It's European and American thing. It's not African culture. We don't accept those things. So, but now America is still pushing those agendas.
They're still pushing that agenda. Joe Biden is the chief transgender.
Yes.
So really, this is just formalities. I'm telling you. Next, in fact, I have video of them trying to push the agenda on the Kenyan president. They are either pushing this LGBTQ or feminism. Pretty much trying to kill off Africa.
Absolutely right. And even Mugabe, he spoke about this against this before he dies. He said that this is not an African thing. We don't accept these things. So America is give and take. America is not like China. China, they came and they respect you as a level of like a kind of bilateral means. But the United States will come and preach you that they want this way. You have to do this way, or I will give you this money, but you have to do this way. And they don't come to Africa to build. They come Africa to give money to the leaders who are already, some of them, not all of them,
to try to domestic. So that's bribery, domestication.
Yes, like bribery.
Another group Africans should try to kick out of Africa. These quote unquote aid,
NGOs,
people, NGOs, because these people are domesticating Africans.
Absolutely. So African leaders, they need to sit down first and work together. We have to sit down first and discuss our issues, our problems.
You know what the problem here is? What the problem here is? Hold on. What the problem is? Yes, there is benefit in terms of you have these people with money coming in that can build infrastructure of scale, but at the same time, it does not allow for local African businesses and industries to grow to that level.
That revenue, you are 100% right. Because if you look at it, right, the underground market. Because I was talking to somebody, like the way they try to measure, especially the African economy, is not measured that way. Because even though you would see some commodities are getting imported, but a lot of African consumption is all from our own local markets, from different African, either grown in the country, from other African region, right? So the local economy is different from the economy that they are showing you. The money that is running within that economy, they cannot quantify it. So if these people come, they want to quote unquote come up with a structure like they have in the West. So that would mean they control more people and create, employees and consumers. So instead, we as Africans, we need to reverse the course and make Africans understand that, Africa, where you are, the land is very important. It's time for the people to go back to the land. Africans need to feed Africa, because a people who take care of hunger, because when you take care of your food and needs, it helps you think about other stuff. And we as people, this is what needs to be promoted in every country. But to depend on these leaders, these guys are puppets, man.
You see, yes, that's true to a certain extent. I'll let you go, Abby. I will let you go. That's true to a certain extent. Yes, you need food security. Yes, and that's happening at a local level. They will come in and add their bit, which is good because it might stop that European import that's happening into African countries. So it might be good for that if they invest in that. But there's other aspect which is hardware infrastructure as well. This stuff is an American expansion. An American empire is not a force empire. It's a industry based, company based, enterprise based kind of empire. You know, that's how they dominated the world with American goods and all that stuff. So they just looking for more expansion for their companies as well. This undercuts local African industry. Like look at today in China, you have companies like Huawei, Xiaomi, all these companies that can come out as well, because these are local China. This feeds into the Chinese economy enough for the Chinese to come up with a space program. African countries, if American companies that do these heavy infrastructure, heavy industrial thing dominate in Africa, there will be no local African businesses as well. All we will do is just operatives and support, like the economy they gave to India for the mobile phones. That's what they're offering to Africa. They're offering us that type of operative support type of thing.
So you're saying within a short time here, if they allow this, we're gonna be hearing when you call call centers, instead of saying hello, thank you for calling, and now it would be, hi, this is Olu from Lagos, how can I help you?
Yeah. It may be that. It may be call centers like
that.
So
call center jobs.
But it's mainly IT. It's mainly IT, which has to do with the fourth industrial revolution. But it's not the critical type of technology and engineering that's required to give you security, such as mechanical engineering, to actually produce mechanics and tools that will actually make you be able to produce more heavy artillery, or not artillery, heavy hardware. You understand what I mean? So you're just operating at the fourth level, but you're not operating at actually building of computer chips and all that stuff. So you see, it's like India. They just support, but they don't actually build arms.
We already know this, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's stuff that you have to do for your own. No one is delusional enough to think like someone is going to come and give you that. But my whole thing with this situation is, look, I think Afridamus, the most important thing that I took away from what Biden's whole speech was, by the way, were you playing that at fast speed? Because he was still speaking so slow.
Who? Oh, Biden?
Yeah, were you playing his speech at
He was way too slow. I'm like, man, he's putting us to sleep, you know. So I was like, let me give him a little bit of boost.
I was like, I've never heard this man speak this fast ever. But now that it makes sense, I was going to say, I think the two most important things we have to watch out for is when he said they're planning on providing Africa with cybersecurity. Africa's not in a position right now where it needs cybersecurity. They're just trying to use that as a way to try and infiltrate Africa's growing internet market. So right now, you have to remember early on, they were at the start of the year, they were complaining about how Russia is using. Russia and China are using fake news in Africa through WhatsApp and all of these social media networks to spread bad news about America, to try and change people's favorability toward them. They're trying to use the cybersecurity stuff to try and combat that. They're not doing it for.
And they said it's going to be an African American company. What do you think?
We all know that's a lie.
Yeah.
But the other thing, Afridamus, we have to focus on. We already know, like that. I don't think any African country should be dumb enough to ever sign any cybersecurity deal with America. That's suicide. Another thing is
that part that's dumb. If Africans accept that, that would be dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, the microfinancing and the internet money, the mobile money stuff that they were talking about. They try and tap into what would be Africa's biggest market, because you have to understand, even if you take Kenya, Safaricom was the first one to start doing mobile money in Kenya. And within I think the first 5 years, they were already giving money that was equivalent to 70% of Kenya's GDP at that time. Because you have to think almost 50 to 60, even sometimes in some countries, 80% of the population is in the informal sector. So if you're able to provide them with mobile money services, that's a huge market. And I think that's why they're trying to tap into this mobile service money, because that is probably a multi-trillion-dollar business just by itself across Africa, because a large portion of the population are still in the informal sector. So
if anyone can tap into that market, anyone that can tap that market, you got money.
Yeah, it's okay to do business with America because you need them, but you should never let them touch like critical sectors, critical portions of the society or even economy, because people can't be trusted.
Right. Hold on. Let me play this real quick, and we'll allow Q also and the other speakers.
The United States must first and foremost make sure that racism is out of the picture. Africans are just as smart as anybody else. Africans are equal, and until we engage as equals, all these meetings, all these conversations are always going to be useless. And it goes back to the individuals who are going to be at the table with the Africans. So the US also needs to address the issue of racism and make sure that the people engaging Africa, their minds are clear and they accept that Africans are equal.
Tell us about Pan-Africanism. Tell us about what Africa, the states in Africa are doing to trade, to connect, to move their agenda forward proactively, no matter what the rest of the world is thinking about it.
So guys, kick back and listen for the Pan-Africanism that is happening in Africa.
Absolutely. I have to say, if you were to go back to 1963, when our Pan-African fathers came together in the hopes of creating an Africa that spoke with one voice, an Africa that had one military, an Africa that had one central bank, one monetary fund, one stock exchange, and an Africa with one customs union. We failed at that over the years. But finally, 2 years ago, they approved the AfCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which is a policy that saw Africa coming together in one particular area, that we are now speaking with one voice when it comes to trade. Yes, its implementation is a monster. Yes, its implementation is work in progress. But you can say of the issues that our Pan-African fathers met to discuss in 1963, finally, over 50 years later, we are able to accomplish the first one, which is being an Africa that's going to the world as one customs union. The spirit of Pan-Africanism, it has taken us a long time to really begin to come together to dismantle the Berlin Conference, which of course, for those who think, oh, Berlin Conference is a thing of the past, think again. As long as we have a country called Togo, as long as we have a country called Congo Brazzaville, Eswatini, Malawi, those small countries, even Nigeria or the big ones, Kenya, Egypt, Morocco, they cannot survive on their own. As long as we're talking about the little bitty individual African countries, we are never going to realize the dream of a united Africa that speaks with one voice. And until we dismantle some of those borders, until we begin to wake ourselves up as a people, until we begin to realize that the colonizers and the rule of divide and conquer left us feeling inferior, supremacy, white supremacy was introduced from the very onset. When the colonizers came to Africa, we were taught to believe that everything African was bad, everything European was better. And we still continue to suffer from that mentality. So yes, while we demand that the West and those who don't look like us Africans treat us equally, realize that we are human beings just like they are, we too as Africans, we have a lot of work to do on a personal level, where we must also believe, truly believe, that we are equal to everybody else on earth, and that we are capable. That also is a disease that we need to realize as Africans. Let's wake up and realize that white people are not superior to us, Chinese are not superior to us, we are just as good as anybody else. That is a serious challenge, because we still have people, even when you look at issues that we could stand up as a people and push back. You see ministers from the Western world going to Africa, and they basically I've seen them say some of the most ridiculous things to the Africans. And instead of the Africans pushing back and saying, hey, hold it, this is not going to fly. Instead, the Africans are afraid, just inherently fear of the white person, for no good reason whatsoever, except that we have been programmed to feel inferior. So on an individual basis, we continue to speak the gospel of truth. We continue to shed the light as to the brainwashing that the African has been put through, wherein lies the problem. When you look at what is being done at the World Bank, for example, the Bretton Woods institutions, the frivolous loans, countries that have never defaulted on their loan repayments, and yet they're still given large interest rates. Why? Countries like the United States that don't need any help, they get loans at zero interest rates. You look at the issue. I'm glad President Biden, I hear he's going to be talking about having the AU as the 51st member of the G20. Well, let's also take it to the next level. Let's go to the United Nations. Let's have Africa, 1.4 billion people. They need to come to the table. Let's African Union be the 6th member of the 5-member UN Security Council. You can't just totally disregard 1.4 billion people because you've gotten away with it for centuries. Well, guess what? game is over. Africans are waking up. Africans are beginning to realize and understand the game that have been played. Unfortunately, we don't have that critical mass of people who are continuously going to speak truth to power.
Right.
The good thing with the story of Africa is ours, we are coming from a...
All right. So she's speaking on Pan-Africanism and, you know, whole host of things. And also something she's highlighting here is something important, which, you know, Africans also, you know, we need to be careful. Some of these people you elect, they are afraid. There's this African fear of white people. They feel inferior to white people. You see, they exactly. I don't know why, but it is a thing.
Let me say
It is
this.
a thing.
What I observed from
Hold on, one mic, one at a time, one at a time.
Let me say this real quick.
Hold on, guys, one at a time, one at a time.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Let me say this. Like, let me say this, please, about the African having an inferiority complex to white people. Afridamus, when I was back home, I was the same. I explained. The white people we saw were like missionaries, people that came with fancy things, and they brought us things that we never see. So the Africans, when they look at that white man, he's the one that brings them some new things, some fancy things. So they feel inferior to them. But when you come to the West, our mentality changes because we see all kind of white people. That's just the difference. Someone in the village, when the white missionaries go to the village, they go cure their children, put some bandage on their hood, give them some candies. They see them as people who are better than them. And these people, they're doing this thing on purpose. It's how they preach that white supremacy ideology. And it is sink in African people's mind for so long that they think, okay, these white people are better. But for us in the West, we don't think like that because we've seen like beggars, people sleeping in the street. So our mindset has changed. That's just the difference.
I don't think that race is matter now in this conference. It's because we should have an agenda first to go to when we come into a conference like the United States or to China.
Yeah, but if you have you know, self-esteem. But if you see the white people as your superior, you're not coming with anything. You're just showing up. You're like, oh, they are white. And Biden, they capitalize on this to make themselves feel more important. But these people are, you know, you are a leader. You are coming. You're meeting another leader, quote unquote, from another country. You know, keep your shoulders straight up. You know, I noticed a lot of the Africans before in the past we've had African leaders who are true revolutionaries who don't give a damn about what white person come, you know. But we also have, you know, plenty, you know, like, you know, some of them, I don't know, you know, how to describe them, but it is an issue.
But this is economy. It's nothing to do with the race. We should put the race on the side.
It is.
This is economy today. The world is.
But Rashid, what she's saying, we cannot discount it. The race does play a role.
Afridamus, for me personally, I think she got sidetracked by her message. I think she should be focusing more on detailing and telling us her experience working as the ambassador of Africa in the United States. She should be telling us at her level and at their level, they should be focusing on that. Detailing the experience of the kind of deals and conversations they should be having. That's what she should focus on.
What race has
hold on. And she should leave the kind of self-esteem kind of aspect of the conversation to the diaspora and those who know better. Those people can spread across the message further. And yes, I know she's got a good platform, but she has far more valuable information to share, which is her experience working at that level. That we could have found more useful. Otherwise, because there's many people like Kifaru, many people like Omar Johnson, different people saying that her experience should be of a different kind.
But she does explain her experience too.
She's more emotional. She said that we should open the borders and all that.
No, that's emotional talk.
Yes, that's like, you should open the borders. We're far away from that.
I think when
but she's got good points though. We can discount that.
She's brilliant.
She does, but
she has more value.
Hold on.
She's got points though. We can discount that.
I think opening border for trade
Yeah, for trade, of course. Yeah, but
Yeah, we can make
some
like
people thinking it's like this one big Africa, you just
no,
walking in and out.
it's not
No, we
that's
have to have regulations.
there
No,
should
no,
be a
no.
regulations.
Yeah, of course, there's always going to be regulation. That the trade is for trade. It's mostly for big business people,
Right.
exporting heavy goods from one country to another. That's the main thing. It's not for
Yes, we should cooperate
individuals. They still have
economically, like
different
European Union,
kind
kind
of
of.
criteria that you still need to. Yes, yes, yes. That's to me. That's the best thing, economically and politically. So
Yeah, we
to
can
me,
do
that's
that.
the Pan-Africanism we're talking about.
Afridamus,
Economically,
I
politically.
agree with her with what she said. I agree with that sentiment, but her sentiment can be expressed by the lots of us as well. You understand? But she has so much valuable experience that she's becoming sidetracked. Like her experience of detailing the experiences that she had between the deals that happened within Africa, that is so far more juicier information she could detail. But I think like throughout the whole time she's gone into explaining about the baby that was black and one that was white. And I was like, hold on a second, we know about this already. You have far more valuable information. But I don't belittle anything she's saying because I think she's saying it passionately. So I
even
respect that.
even European Union when they started becoming
She's
together,
pro-black.
they started
So
with
don't forget.
with the Schengen first, with the Schengen 7 countries, something like that. They started with 7 countries.
Yeah, but the European Union is beginning to fall, though. Like, I mean, because the European Union is pretty much controlled by the United States, you know, and you know, yeah, politically, but you know, and also it's like you look at the British, they you know they walked away from from the European Union, you know. So the European Union is not really, you know, it probably worked for a little bit, but you know, a lot of countries are distressed by the European Union's, especially their open border policy, especially their open border policy.
Okay, African, let me ask you. Which
I
way
think the
Africa
European
can
Union
be?
is only working because
Not the African way.
taking the big hand.
Here's the African way,
I think
you know,
Germany
like when they say open the border, right?
Yes.
Remove all these hard, you know, these frivolous, you know, tariffs, you know, like if you're trying to do trade between, you know, these countries or like you see like, okay, between like Gambia and Senegal, right?
Yes.
These people always have these problems like trade issues sometimes where Senegal, they will close their border, you know, and if you look at it, you know, African countries putting sanction on Mali, for instance, you know, like, okay, Africans should have this. Okay, if I want to do trade, right?
Yes.
I should be able to trade with somebody all the way in Cameroon or Ethiopia, right? So if I trade with somebody in Cameroon, its products, I should be able to have those Cameroonian products from Cameroon or Sengambian products to somebody in Cameroon with you know, with no problem, without these tariffs that they are, you know, they make custom, they make it so expensive. It's cheaper to ship something from US or Europe to Africa. That doesn't make any sense.
Between Gambia and Senegal, because that sounds weird.
Oh yeah, every now and again there's beefs, like even like the bridge stuff, like Gambian vehicles, because the Senegalese, some of their border, they will get mad because like they even attack like Senegalese, like Gambian vehicles that do transportation. They don't want Gambian vehicles to cross into Senegal, you know, like into certain regions. They want to control the amount of Gambian vehicles. But Senegalese vehicle, they can come there as much as they want.
That's crazy because you guys were one colony at one point.
No, we were never one colony. That's the mistake.
French and English.
Yeah, that's the mistake people make. Senegal, we were never ever the same colony.
You were never one.
No.
Oh, you had separate. Okay.
Separate, always separate. Even the kingdom, like, you know, even when the Jollof kingdom existed, the kingdom that Gambia was part of is different.
Right.
You know, we were not part of the Jollof kingdom.
Okay. Mali, right? With the Mali.
We were part of Mali. You know, countries that we were share a kingdom with Mali, Guinea-Bissau, like Burkina Faso, like
sometimes even United States.
Niger, some parts of Ivory Coast, because the Mali Empire,
They
hit
spread
all
out
that
very.
parts of Mauritania. So but Senegal, the place they call Senegal, like the Dakar area, they had kingdoms there. The Jollof Kingdom, they had Sin, Salum, Baol, Cairo. They had different kingdoms, but
So
it's
it pretty
separate
much
from
is.
the place you call Gambia.
So
Gambia
it's
have
pretty
always
much
been
just
its
a
own
split
place.
period for it. It was a split before the British even came.
Before the British, before the Europeans,
Let's not decide
they're not.
That makes sense.
It's like, yeah, it's not the
That makes
same
sense.
group.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the
let's not
I
same.
get
thought it was the
sidetracked.
same
Let's get
area,
back to the
but
topic.
fine.
Yeah, let me play this real quick.
Get back. Sorry
Position
about
of
that. Go ahead.
Hold
Go ahead.
on.
a position of truth, a position of facts.
Right.
Those are constants, they don't change. Let's continue to give the world an overdose of our truth, but at the same time, while we're doing so and demanding a world that is fair, that is just, and free of racism, bigotry, and hate, we must also work on our own development and our own awakening as a people.
Talk to me a little bit about how Africa can take advantage of its intellectual connection and assets to entrepreneurs who have left, but may want to help Africa back, because this is one of your major initiatives.
Absolutely. The brain drain that started over 400 years ago, when the best and the brightest and the fittest were taken out of Africa forcibly, and that is when the brain drain started. I want to make sure that is very clear. And when we talk about African diaspora, we're talking about all people of African descent living outside of Africa. Let's be very clear. African Americans, they are Africans who were forcibly taken out of Africa, plus the continued brain drain, those who are later immigrants who left Africa running away from famine, from wars, in search of greener pastures. The end result is, as we speak, Africa has a serious deficit of expertise. However, the good news for Africa is that we have a very young, intelligent, vibrant population that needs opportunities. So when we can marry the age group of young, intelligent Africans with the expertise coming from the diaspora, we can see an Africa that can propel itself to take its rightful place on the world stage like it once was. So yes, the diaspora are an important component of Africa's development. Make no mistake about that. All the African leaders are fully aware of that. All the African leaders are in full support of coming up with programs to make it easier for the diaspora to move back. We want to look at diaspora who can come to Africa, not just focus on a country that you were born in, but if you are a person of African descent, Africa should matter to you. Africa should be your problem. You must own Africa's problems, understand it, and participate in the development of Africa.
All right. We will close it in that part. I want to hear what you guys want to add onto, the diaspora. She's going into the brain drain from slavery time.
Okay.
So, before we close out, what do you guys? Yeah, go ahead. You go first.
Okay. There's with the diaspora, there's some of us over here that are kind of a lot of us that are brainwashed. No offense.
Right.
And I don't think we have some stuff to offer, but at the same time, we got to get our shit straightened out in our heads, because there's no way we can tell you guys what to do when you have your priorities more straight than we do. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you. Let me read this real quick. This Africa is the future. Thank you for the super chat. He said, whenever you call white people Muzungu, you're calling them God. In Bantu languages, Muzungu, Mulungu, Murungu, Mungu, etc. mean God the creator. Oh man, Africa is the future. Thank you for clarifying that. So for those of you that call white people Muzungu, you're calling them God. So let me thank you here properly. Thank you so much. Thank you, Africa is the future, for the super chat. All right. So, okay, let's continue here. So, Maryland, thank you for your closing statement there. All right, let's go. Rashid, what do you want to say with your closing statement?
Can we outline what we think China's interest is and what the United States' interest is ultimately as a way to finish it as well? Just so the
Yeah.
people can get an awareness. What is really the United States' interest entirely, and what is China's interest in all of this? Because that will put it down to a simple way.
Well, thank you, that Raven. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming.
Oh, that's not
All
my contribution. Okay, and then I'll start. What I think is China's interest. China's interest that is not just in Africa, is all over the world in kind of decentralizing the world in a way to its benefit, because it's down to its benefit if it has that much trading. Now the EU, now the United States is getting involved to a certain extent. The EU is gonna take probably second or third place as well, with China and the United States competing in Africa. But China is not going to let go of the EU. China will still work with the EU as well. So China is looking to decentralize and make multiple areas of the world to be alternatives for them as well. As in a return, it's giving the other African countries alternatives other than the Europe and that. But to America, another thing that China benefits is when it comes to voting at the UN level, as you've seen with Russia and Ukraine, how voting has went what way. This is one of the biggest things that has piqued the United States, that they're losing this influence. So the United States, yes, the business, yes, the infrastructure, they don't care if China is building the infrastructure. It's the fact that they're losing influence in African countries. And also the American private interests and even European private interests are interested in expanding, because the market in Europe and America are oversaturated as well. So Africa is the next competitive ground. So they'll compete. But the most important thing to the United States is the loss of influence in terms of when it comes to voting at the UN level. That's why you see they're offering African countries, now you're part of the G20. Now we're gonna give the
It's
whole
all
of
fake.
Africa.
But he didn't really invite. They didn't really invite African countries though.
Yeah.
They
So
just kind of say, "Oh, we might invite, bring the AU in as the
you know,
sixth," but
yeah.
they didn't really.
Yeah,
It's not a
they, they,
promise.
say- they say they're gonna put Africa as part of the United Nations Security Council as well.
Yeah. How long they've been saying that?
So he also said that. So this is a worrisome from their side of losing influence. Ultimately, how I see this thing going, the money that was taken, perhaps somewhat could return and rebuild Africa to a certain extent. The money that was stolen. Either way, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that's happening to get multiple different partners that we can deal with and all that stuff. So I don't mind it. I'm predicting it very well. All these telecommunication companies going to Africa, it's a good
So
thing.
so don't you feel bad that like this could have been the blacks' reparation money, but now they're taking it to Africa? Huh? What do they're giving away the black people's reparation money, man. What? There's a lot of blacks getting upset over this. They said Africans went in front of Joe and they're like, Joe, why don't you help our cousins, man, with the reparation? Huh?
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Well, I don't know about that. I remember Brandon was addressing that yesterday. Unfortunately, the United States only does things to advantage themselves, and we have to be careful.
Thank you for pointing that out, Dark Raven. You see, even the citizenship thing and all of that, whatever they push forward, you might think, oh man, I'll benefit. Yeah, individual Africans can benefit, but trust me, they're not gonna pass any law that's not benefiting the United States.
Definitely,
That's not how it works.
definitely. I was gonna say something to finally lose it, but I can't remember. So I'll leave it there and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, thank you for coming, Dark Raven. You are always welcome here. Thank you.
All right, cheers.
Yes. All right, that's that Raven. All right. Let's have monologue. Rashid, you go. Then we'll have
Okay.
monologue.
Okay, Afridamus, thank you very much. So I will try to say this. If America does not approach Africa with respect and with the building infrastructure, America will never build infrastructure. What they will say is this is my order. You take this. You will I will give you this, but you have to take this. They always bring with the condition with what they do with Africa. So, but in that case, I would have said, America, stay away from Africa. Leave us alone. to leave us alone. We will
Yeah.
do our thing our own way. That I will have. I could say. The other thing I want to add is this thing called diaspora. The diaspora is me and Afridamus and other Africans, but the
Wait,
African
Rashid,
American, they
I
are not
gotta ask
diaspora.
you this too. I gotta ask you. Okay, Rashid, this money he's saying he's pledging, the blacks have been trying to get reparation. They say they don't have money, but don't you think the blacks have been upset that they are offering Africa this money? And you're saying they're not part of the diaspora, but Arikana said they are. How, don't you feel bad that the blacks have been denied the money and Africa didn't even ask? They are trying to bribe Africans with it.
Yeah, you see, Africa, we don't need the money. Africa, we need business. We don't need a handout. Africa doesn't need that. So the African American, they should get their money from their country, from their government. They can come together themselves, go to the government or the United States government, elect their own. They have to vote who's gonna give them money. That's their own issues.
But these people don't give free money.
They don't give free money. Yeah,
No.
absolutely. And
There's a catch.
The other thing is that these people are national to a country. They are not African diaspora. They are national American. They are Americans. They are European. Those who are in England, they are British passports. They are loyal to their governments. So they are not African diaspora. African diaspora is me and Afridamus and Kafuru and all the people in the Bano. Those are the African diasporas, but not African American. They are not the diaspora of Africa. Their great grandfather came from Africa, but they are not the diaspora.
Thank you, Rashid. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, have a good
Thank
one.
you for inviting me. Thank you, sir.
All right. All right. Now we will have monologue. Go ahead, monologue.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Your closing statement. Go ahead.
Yeah. My statement is: do not trust the Americans and the Chinese. Invest in yourself and tell the African diaspora to go back to Africa so we can build Africa. You understand?
Yes.
Africa with PhD, who are teachers, who are bus drivers, people who can make things. Those people we need. Understand
This
me?
is true. Yeah, you mean people that can make things happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They want us to be poor forever. They want us to be dependent. Oh, please help us. Please give us grain. Please give us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're enemies. You understand me? So to all the Africans that listen, invest in yourself, build your country, and we don't need China and America to help us. We don't need the money. Fuck their money. You understand me?
Thank you. Thank you for coming in, and I'll see you when in the next show. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, man. You can always talk to me. No
All
problem.
right. Enjoy. That was monologue. All right. Kifaru, you have the floor.
Yeah,
Kifaru, what do you want to do with your closing statement? And if let's say Paul
brother,
Biya is right now, Paul Biya is in his sitting in his sofa in his village in Switzerland as we speak. If he's watching this, make it seem like Paul Biya is watching this message, watching you. What do you want him to hear? And also, I mean, I'm just messing with you, but you can give your closing statement how you want.
Yeah, I'll tell him at least visit your country. I'll tell him at least visit.
What you mean visit? You mean come back?
So, if you're listening to me, probably at least visit Cameroon 5 times a year, not 1 or 2 times. At least if you can visit us 5 times a year, at least we know you.
So he's the diaspora.
Yeah, to Cameroon. He should visit Cameroon at least 5 times a year, so we can at least know we have a president that is still alive. Because sometimes people think he's dead, and he will just come make a statement from the Swiss hotel and say, yeah.
He would give you guys statement from the Swiss hotel.
She was thinking, I don't know if it's a he or she, and she said she's going to investigate. It's a fact. 5 days Paul Biya stay in that hotel is 40,000 euros.
Wow. This is
if you look at it, He
So
doesn't care about anyone.
Paul Biya alone can sponsor a road in Cameroon. What he spends in Switzerland.
4 days, 40,000. There's analysis for everything. It's not a joke. It's a fact. He doesn't care. He doesn't
Wow.
care. He asks his minister what's going on in Cameroon. They tell him things that's going on there. He runs Cameroon as his private property. He's a dictator that people don't even know about. He's a despot, even. He's a silent despot. He's a dictator. People are scared of Paul Biya as they were scared of Mobutu.
He's like
He's
a
a
god.
dangerous person. Well, but
Wow.
he is a smart one. He's not the stupid one, but he's smart. Some people can be a god, but they're stupid. But he makes sure he maintains good relationship with the West. That is his power. He's not here to reject what the West says, because he knows those are the only people who can take him out of power.
I mean, he
You come,
lives
you
in
make
their
a stupid,
village.
of course, you make any stupid deal with him, as long as you tell him, I'll keep you in power, you have no issue. He's going to say, sign the deal. That's the only problem. He has no problem with the West. No Western leader is going to talk bad about Paul Biya. You will never hear that. No
I've
one
never
of them.
heard it. You know what? Actually,
They
you're
don't.
right. I have
They
never
don't.
heard a Western power say anything bad about Paul Biya.
They
You're right.
don't.
I've never heard
They
it.
never
Paul
say
Biya and
anything
Omar
bad about him.
Bongo.
They will say, yeah, about Komabongo, all these people, but Paul Biya, nothing. They have nothing against him. He's a smart dictator. That's what people don't understand. That's why he can sit with his wife in Switzerland and sign his papers. Maybe he's got his office in his hotel office, his presidential office somewhere in Switzerland. No one knows. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, Switzerland is looking sweet. I don't know what these African leaders are seeing there. I might be looking to get myself adopted by some Swiss people, close to
That's
Paul
why
Biya's
Mbolo
village.
is going there as well. That's why
Oh,
Mbolo
yeah,
is going there.
yeah. Imbolo is smart. I might look into getting some Swiss people to adopt me. Visionary of love. If you know any Swiss people that are looking to adopt African, I might be available. I mean, because Swiss, I heard, is a beautiful place. I just want to make sure the village is a little bit close to the village where Paul Biya is. So, if you know
Yeah, just
any,
stay there.
please put me through. I want to be like Imbolo.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
it's a
Kifaru.
sellout. It's a sellout. Yeah.
Yeah, this is wild. But Kifaru, what do
Yeah.
you want
So this, I just
to do before your closing statement here, before you
yes.
leave?
Okay. Let's just say okay. I just want to make some points to what Arikana said about the brain drain. The brain drain. I'm not so worried because I believe Africans have got those brains. So many of them. I believe the women who gave birth to these children are still in Africa. We're going to produce more and more and more of intelligent people, but we should learn how to contain them. We should have institutions that can contain these our brains because we are the most smart people. We're always going to have people like that. Okay. And again, the China thing and American thing, who's better? None is better. America, their expansionist country, they want to put your grip all over the world. China is coming new to this game. They're seeing how the West has benefited from Africa and what they were doing and playing, whatever. Now they want to be part of that cake. They too want to have their own part of the African cake. They're not here to actually help. They're just coming a time where people are a little bit woke, so they have to make a different strategy. We're coming off economics and this, but at the end of the day, everyone wants to have Africa because it's like that cake that is going to fit the whole world. So
Oh man,
there's no one actually bets.
Born
There's no
Critic
one that
said
bets up
something.
each of them.
Born Critic
Yeah.
said
So
Biden already named Gambia as one of the countries that signed the pact. Unfortunately, yes, unfortunately, yes, he did name Gambia. Yeah, Gambia is one of the 4 countries he named. So we Gambian people,
Yeah.
if you're
So
watching, we might want to have a discussion with Mr. Barrow and the others. And like my Gambian brother wrote here, Kemet Kute said, this is a trap for Africa. He said, this is a trap for Africa. Our leaders need to investigate before collecting the money. Man, I think, Kemekude, unfortunately, we might be a little bit late, us in Gambia. I tried to pretend like, he didn't even name Gambia, but Born Critic would not let it go. Yes, I think our people have dipped their hand in the pen. The American embassy have a beachfront property. They are like, oh yeah, we're giving the monkey park to them. They're gonna rescue the monkeys. Sure. Yeah. Like apparently the monkeys wrote the letter. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we Africans, we should take Pan-Africanism serious. The idea that we can trade together, trade among ourselves, have some free economic zone for business people. That's some of the things that's going to make people respect us. If anyone can just call African leaders, get up, your asses go to China, get up, your asses go to Europe. If they keep on doing that, there's no pride. So if we have that, if we can create that cohesion where we can sit and make our own decision, so that if we can start telling them, come to Africa, come to this, we need that pride as well. So we should take Pan-Africanism really serious. That's why my own little channel, I'm trying to preach this gospel of Pan-Africanism, is the Pan-African Alliance. Shout out to your moderator, super girl. And she promoted my channel, if she can do it again. So we come over there, we talk about Pan-Africanism. We need pride. We are Africans, and the whole world is watching us because they know we have so much power, but we are not.
Awesome.
Harnessing.
Kifaru, before you leave, Kifaru, what is the name of Paul Biya's village in Switzerland? Because Visionary of Love is from Swiss. So yeah. she wants to know the name so she can know which village people. She's gonna take me around. So which village people are willing to adopt me? Okay. So if you can name the village here, that would help Visionary of Love. So she Blytheville. Someone wrote Blytheville.
Okay, that's Blytheville, and he's spent most of the time in the Intercontinental Hotel, and from there he goes to Blytheville. He's the boss. He's the boss. He's the boss. You can't come. He owns that village. He owns the village with his wife. He rules Cameroon from the hotel table. That's a fact. And nobody, he might need anything about him.
Look, I might be broadcasting from Swiss, eating some Swiss cheese and some chocolate. You never know.
To him, you go closer to him, the military, the police is going to come. Cameroonians have tried, man, rioting. The Swiss deploy military and they smoke these guys with tear gas. You can't disturb their king. He's coming to give the village peaceful, like money and everything. You're coming to disturb the chief.
Well,
he's a chief
Kifaru,
in the village.
Kifaru, when you see me broadcasting from Switzerland and I'm saying Paul Biya is a good man, do not criticize me.
Yeah, you can go meet Mbolo and both of you praising Paul Biya over there. We don't care. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway,
thank you.
Afridamus, it was a nice show. Like, subscribe to my channel and let's continue the Pan-African discussion.
Absolutely. I'll come through. Thank you. Bye-bye. That was Kifaru. All right, Mad Dog, you got 30 seconds. You came in late. I'm about to close, but I'll give you 30 seconds to add on to this. Go ahead, Mad Dog.
Yeah, I was cooking, bro. But now I'm on here, innit? I'm gonna cook
You want to
for these African presidents, bro.
Go for it.
No, I said
Go
I was
for it.
cooking. I was cooking. Look.
Oh, you were cooking.
That,
Okay.
That life, yeah. So I couldn't call it real early enough. But that life sentence that you're talking about for corruption, bro, that's what you say, death sentence. Is that what you said?
Yeah, death sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, I said that to light work. I said death sentence by starvation to death, bro. Because you see the starvation they're putting the people through, they need to feel it before they die. Do you get me? Like, it's so bad. The life expectancy on the continent and health problems is one of the biggest problems. And the health infrastructure, the medical infrastructure is horrible. So you can see how these people are costing lives.
Right.
They're causing the loss of lives, honestly. But I just wanted to say this, right? Because I listened to the show and someone said something about overthrowing African presidents. I think, look, let me tell you, this is going to be probably the best generation to do it. Maybe now, within the next few decades from now. You know why I said that is this, right? Because with the surgence of the internet, a lot of people are becoming woke these days. They see information that they wouldn't have had a few decades ago. Plus, add on to that, I feel like the continents are the worst it has ever been. Where you say people cannot afford basic amenities, the basic life infrastructure that they can't afford. I feel like if anyone was to take any bold move, the people will have their back now. The people will support them now. The people who have the internet, they see what's happening in the rest of the world, they see the state that they're living in. The people will support them. Now is that time. You just have to make sure that when you're supporting them, have an alliance of people that you're working with to be able to. You have to be able to show something. That's the only way you get with it. You guys use the.
But it's you mean changing people's mind, trying to equip them with more information.
No, I think it's not even really information. I think like a coup, flat out coup. You don't have to equip their minds anymore. The continents are the worst state it could possibly be in right now. You see what Dr. Arikana was saying there? A lot of people on the continent are saying it now these days. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have that. People talking about, Africans are all one, and a lot of borders they need to get pretty much destroyed and all that stuff there. But I feel like now is the time that most people will get away with those sort of actions if they should take those actions. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
With that said, I just wanted to say that you guys mentioned something on the show earlier. You said something about the problems that you're going to face. I forgot the country and the leader that you guys use as an example. The problems you face. I think someone asked the question. The problems you face when you carry out a coup. I don't think those problems are going to be there if you have an alliance of people that are there to make sure that a certain level of infrastructure is developed within the country. The basic infrastructure developed, food, job infrastructure, flipping road infrastructure, stuff like that. Simple things really. If the people see that you you have a genuine interest in infrastructure development, and of course adding on to the other aspects as well, I don't think there will be any pushbacks at all. You know what I'm saying?
So pretty much you're saying Africa take the initiative, don't wait.
Don't wait at all, because no one is going to come pick you up from it. It's common sense. It's not something that you need to tell. You know what I'm saying? You know what your leaders are about. You know what the powers that be are about. It's pretty much common sense in that case there. If Kifara and his brothers then can go start up an alliance, another one of them African alliance that they got, bro, in Cameroon, enter Biaville and all, do their thing, but I have to make sure that the people are satisfied with their actions as well.
Man, I'm trying to. They're over here hating on Paul B. I'm trying to move to the village next to Paul B.
Yeah, we're trying to be like Paul B, bro. Paul B got acres, man, in Cameroon, bro. Not some slum in Gambia, bro. And you know what I mean when I said that.
I noticed that. I know. Hey, no offense, none taken. You know what I'm saying? It's all good.
Yeah.
You know, it's all good. But once I get adopted by some Swiss people in that village, I'm good to go. That's all I'm looking
to go,
for.
man.
Yeah, but thank you for coming. I'm gonna prepare for my next show because I want to do another one. About Morocco being invaders, like the African people we call Africans today who are actually invaders to Africa. I'm gonna touch on that, and I want to hear the African people's take on that. But Mad Dog, thank you as usual.
What you going straight after this?
Yeah, I'm gonna go take care of something, and I'll come back within an hour and a half and do another show.
All right, live out. We up for it, yeah?
All right. It's Saturday, right?
Yeah, Saturday around here. Saturday night. So
right. So yeah, it's not night time yet. I got some stuff to do, but then I'll come back and do another show. But thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, take it easy, brother.
All right, guys. That was Mad Dog. So, guys, as you know, there's different perspectives, but at the end of the day, it looks like African people, are united on the fact that, there's not a lot of differences in, what people agree on. African people are saying, yes, we're no longer going for the okie doke, someone coming trying to pimp African people out, saying, we're going to pledge this. And then we receive the money, but this money has a lot of things tied to it. Look, it is high time to wake up and realize that your land, our land, is valuable. The land is only as valuable as the value we put in it. But if you allow somebody else to dictate the value of your land or your property to you, you can be upset when you find out they undervalued it because you outsource that power to them. This is what us as Africans need to wake up. If you think about it, how many people have you met? People telling you, people who even there don't have any leverage against you owning a country, but they try to tell you, oh, your country is an S-hole country. Even America, parts of it is an S-hole, but people are still proud of the place. You can have your one little hut, but guess what? That hut is yours. It doesn't belong to anyone. There's pride in that. I'd rather be the king of my hut than be the servant in a mansion. There's no dignity in it. So this is what Africa is waking up to. So if we don't continue to push, let's not leave our pride for somebody to decide it for us. You can't be upset at that because they are going to, assign to you a level that you yourself gave you gave them that power. Just think about it. When you give someone the power to decide your worth for you, you can't be mad if they assign like a lower position for you. So let's wake up and realize it. When I went to Gambia this last time, I saw like the Turkey, you have Turkish project. The people from Turkey, they have huge projects there. You have the Chinese. So we cannot be operating from the position of, oh, we are the ones that everyone is stepping on. We have to accept the crumbs or even allowing, these secondhand materials being shipped to Africa. No, we have to, rethink these things. We cannot allow Africa to continue being the dumping ground, just what it is. MD2 said, but Afridamus, I thought you were American first. I'm surprised you will be against America's drive towards Africa. No, I never said I'm an American citizen. I'm a dual citizen, but of course I'm African first, sir. So this is more like the democratic plantation trying to push their degenerate ideas onto Africa. So I would be a bad African to not speak on that and point all the traps that have been set. Years ago, this is what Africans lack. We have so many Africans, even though they're in the West. Do they pay attention to this? No. They are busy showing their teeth, grinning and smiling at everything, right? Whatever the white man says is good. That's how they feel. But at the end of the day, we as a people have to take charge. We have to hold on to the wheel, and that's what I'm doing. But I don't want to keep you here because I want to come back, because today, the next topic I want to talk about is the real colonizers. It's not only the white people, the Arabs too, the Arabs in Morocco, and all the other colonizers that are in Africa. I am going to take it back to history. It's not about playing victimhood, because you see, us Africans, when we want to talk about the true history, even though people treat us different, we know this. We know we are treated differently, but they want us just to accept that position. But if we are like, nah, man, you can't treat us this way, all of a sudden, oh man, you guys want to create divide. You guys, you are not peaceful. But no, we're seeing we're treated different. We see how you treat the other people. But when it comes to us, I'm not talking about individual. I'm talking about as a group. As a group, we are treated different. And we are saying no more. Yes, we're not saying we're perfect over here, but we do recognize this. And until you African put value on you, it will never change. Go Black Cloud. I'm gonna read your super chat. Thank you so much. He said, "We are African." Thank you very much for the super chat. Let me give you the golden thank you here before we leave. Here we go.
Baby girl love my bop and I like me too. No roof on my top and my babe see through. Hating on the pen, don't stop, shit ain't gon' feed you. I've been all on my grind, so why I need you? Baby girl love my bop and I like me too. No roof on my top and my babe see through. Hating on the pen, don't stop, shit ain't gon' feed you. I've been all on my grind, so why I need you? Big flex, my swole up. Double cup and I'm pulled up. Niggas hating like hold up. What's the problem? I'm pulled up. Big flex, my swole up.
Thank you for the super chat there. I was bopping to that, you know. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to keep you longer. You know, great show. Oh man. Mike Cater also gave a super chat. Thank you for the $5 super chat. You know, but you know, I'm gonna give you the honorary black card music and we'll close it with that. Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. And Mike Cater, thank you for the super chat. Here we go.